tinfoil kufi, but could there have been some old world entities that came over here? Was that what he was talking about in the movie? But the topic says, do sinners use vampires? Does the movie Sinners use vampires as a metaphor for the dominant society? Et al. Et al's Latin, it means an associate. So when I say an associates, mean the dominant society and immigrants. I'm going to say yes. Dr. Howard Zinn says these Irish immigrants, themselves poor and despised, how could these Irish immigrants, themselves poor and despised, become sympathetic with the black slave who is becoming more and more the center of attention, the subject of agitation in the country? Indeed, the most working class activists at this time ignore the plight of the blacks. Dr. Henn further says racist hostility became an easy substitute for class frustration. So the Irish, basically, what Dr. Zinn is saying, came over here to vampire off of us. They came here to come up off of vampiring our energy. Now that's metaphorical, um, but the character who was a vampire or some type of entity, I don't know what it was Irish, which was fucking interesting to me because the Irish, if you look back before the Great Migration, a little fact that's unknown, that's not advertised. It's known, but it's not advertised. Is Woodrow Wilson unleashed them on the black, on foundational Black Americans in my home state of Alabama. God damn, that movie's so deep. Michael B. Jordan played a character from that area, that region that I'm from, him and his brother, and they ran up north during the Great Migration to work for Al Capone, got some banking, was coming back home. Now that was very fascinating to me because when Woodrow Wilson unleashed the Great Migration, which used Irish immigrants and whites to dress up as Klansmen and lynch us, all that lynching that we've talked about before. And a lot of us just said, fuck it, I'm not going to stay here in Alabama, Mississippi, and Louisiana. We're going up north for better opportunity, which was a plan. They hung us and lynched us. And guess what they did? They ate us. Do y'all know that? There's a book called The Delectable Negro that shows how to cook, basically how to cook black people that you lynched. So my question is, could they have actually been vampires? Wani, am I out of line? What do you think about this?
Well, it's very curious. I mean, we have instances and of cannibalism, but this is different. This is different than the cannibalism that we've seen in ancient cultures across the world. What they're doing is, I've just noticed that the way people move, some people move as parasites. They just follow larger groups around the world and then try to do business with them. And other groups don't do that. And it's just amazing to watch how the different groups move around, um, parasite off of other groups. And we're not even a larger group. That's what makes it so strange. We're a smaller group, and yet we have all these people, all of Europe, and I mean all of it copying off of us, all of Asia copying off of us. It's like we set a standard for what's cool and what's good, and they were forced to go along with it because our general attitude was, we don't care what you think, we're doing this. And we don't care whether you agree or disagree that it's good. We're having fun over here. We're doing this. We're the greatest musicians in the world in these genres, and you can't do anything about it. And they buckled under instead of saying, no, wait a minute, we have our traditional dances. We're gonna do our Russian dance where we squat down with our knees. We're going to do our step dances. We're going to develop our jigs into something. They didn't. They followed us. So that part is strange with regards to us. But yes, they have been parasitic. And the only thing I can figure for them, besides it's their nature to do that, they have a long history of being parasitic. They left the steppe region and they went to parasite off of other cultures that were more advanced or more interesting. So they do have a history of doing it. But I think that when they gave up their cultures that they had, whether we liked them or not, they kind of were just hanging there waiting to latch on to something because they didn't keep their cultures. They kept some aspects of them, like the seasonal holidays is very strong in Europe, or really strong in Scandinavia. So they keep some of their things, but they haven't developed a lot of their culture. And they kind of think that everything is them. Like when somebody was talking about pants, and they said, well, you couldn't have created a zoot suit. We created pants, we created jackets. No, they didn't. They actually believe they created pants and jackets. And there were some pants found on a Chinese man that's older than them. So Chinese people and Asian people invented pants. Why? Want to go? You want to know why? Because they have to ride
Wow.
horses. It's very simple. They just had to develop something so they could split their legs. And you can see very nice jackets in ancient Egypt, but they didn't wear pants, they were wearing skirts. So, white people didn't invent clothes, they didn't invent anything that we use, but they take credit for those things because they'll say, look at everything around us. Yeah, look at all the stuff that we built because they were standing in an empty field trying to figure out how they were going to manage all this land. They weren't doing anything. And that's unfortunate for them because now they have to pay the price through reparations and constantly doing some sort of monitoring of us. What would their lives be if they didn't have to monitor us, see what we're doing, deny copying off of us, being racist? How much energy are they using being racist? It's pretty exhausting, but they seem to have plenty of energy to do it. What do you
Well,
think?
I think ladies and gentlemen, I'm gonna take off the scholar hat and put on the tinfoil kufi just for a couple minutes, if y'all don't mind. I'm gonna mix it with some scholarship. I think that there is a possibility, Wani, that we're looking at something we don't understand. That movie woke me up because scholarship backs up that these immigrants coming from Europe would eat people. They would eat each other. If you look at the Pocahontas, the Warmacomo, what turned into Jamestown, the uh, Chief Powhatan, Pocahontas's dad, told Pocahontas to leave them fucking people alone. And what they do, they started eating each other. There are whole colonies in Virginia that one colony disappeared. Y'all can look that up on Google. So an English colony disappeared. They ate each other because they didn't.
Roanoke.
Roanoke. Yeah, there you go. So that I'm wondering, like, this is gonna sound crazy, but I'm gonna say it after watching this movie. What if some of those people were vampiric in some type of way? That may sound haha funny, professor's crazy, but look at those pictures I just put in the Jumbotron during the Great Migration. A lot of those white immigrants right there are Irish, and they are just celebrating, having a good time, burning a man at the stake. I mean, lynching a man, and they would, ladies and gentlemen, this is kind of graphic. So you have kids, you might want to ask them to leave, or mute me or whatnot. They would cut off pieces and sell them. Do you know the little Irish kids, and they would fight over who got the liver and who got the private parts. Like this is, and they, to this day, I was told that some of those private parts and body parts of lynched people are still in pickle jars and passed down through family. What type of human being does that?
Vampires.
There you go. Was that what our brother was trying to tell us in that movie?
Well, they have a lot of, let me put on my tinfoil beret. They have a lot of evidence that God, I want a copy that people do these rituals where they form something in a shape of a body. They've caught many of these private clubs, these secret societies eating people. There's websites online where people ask to eat other people, and it's like people willing to be eaten, willing to be killed and eaten. And that was like actually a court case. They had a website. The guy said, I'm looking to kill and eat somebody. And he said, I'll do it. And he went over there and the guy killed him and ate him. And then everybody wanted to go to court. Why? Everybody was consenting to get killed. It was consensual murder. I don't see the problem. Anyway, they're still doing this in these kind of underground dungeon type setting societies. And sometimes they get in trouble. They have a court case, and a lot of this stuff comes up. Just like they have all these rumors about children being held in dungeons and blah, blah, blah. And everybody goes, no, that's too dramatic. That's not. Well, that happened in Brussels. In Belgium, this this man was holding children in a dungeon under the ground, and the police were in on it because every time someone said, something's going on over there, they would never search the dungeon. So these children died in there. They had all kinds of little 8-year-olds that were missing, and they were in the dungeon. So they do have these clubs. They do very crazy, debaucherous things. Part of these rituals is to do terrible sex to children and eat people
Is
and
Wani,
they don't do anything.
is that human behavior? That's just a
No,
question.
um, it is and it isn't. I think they're driven by something that's not human, but human beings have been doing that. But most human beings alive today would not do that. So they have to be driven by something. I mean, if it was common, we would be able to get arms and legs in your grocery store, but you can't. So, but they do participate in this and they try to do it on the sly. They call it, oh, this is adventurous eating. They're like, they think they're slick, okay? But I got my eye on them. I got my eye on. They're trying to get us to eat bugs, and they slipped bug protein into some snacks. And they are definitely talking about adventurous eaters. Don't you want to try human flesh? And I'm like, whose flesh is it? Do you want to eat a dead person that died of a disease? Like, who are we eating here in this eating flesh crap scenario? Which, again, how many times do we have to tell people that you can't eat other people because it gives you a horrible disease if you continue to do that?
And Wani, maybe it gives us a horrible disease,
Right.
and maybe it gives others energy and keeps
Mhm.
them alive like a vampire.
Remember when I was reading all those Egyptian texts, I saw that they had an edict, if you will, where they said, we're not going to eat people anymore. We're just going to, because they would eat their enemies to get their energy. Everybody does it. It's a worldwide phenomenon. And it's totally wrong. It's not right, but what they're doing is the gods used to do that. If a god had a talent, the other god would be like, well, I'm going to eat him, so I'll have his talent. So maybe it works on gods. It doesn't translate to people.
Holy
Like
shit,
if
Wani.
I eat somebody, I'm not going to be able to dance or sing or draw like them. I'm just going to get a stomach ache from eating a person.
Remember that statement, Wani, that you just said. That's important because in the film, and I'm gonna try my best not to spoil it for y'all. I don't think I could. That film was so deep. I don't know if I can spoil it.
Yeah, you can't spoil it. Everyone needs to see it, including me.
Uh, well, what I am gonna say is the in the film, the I don't know what they were, vampire. I don't guess they were when they would consume somebody. They would gain all their information and all their talents in that movie, which was the point of the movie. That what you said.
That's what the gods said they did. However, there's no evidence that even eating deer antlers is going to give you the testosterone of a deer. So it's just not translating for us.
I went to a white high school back in the late '90s, early 2000s. That my dad put me in because I was going to get killed at the high school. I was in inner city high school, and I became a target because girls was liking on me, and the Bloods didn't like that, and like literally a hit went on my head. I didn't have a car. I was walking to school. I was a walking target, and my dad got a job at a gas station to put me in a lily white high school. I'm bringing that up because I was shocked at the white high school because I was trying to make friends with people, and mostly white boys was there. Okay, cool. What do they like? And I would kick it with them, and they would wear these boots. I like the boots. They're called Scarpo. They're really expensive. They're like hunting boots. And I would notice it'd be like little stains on the Scarpo boots. These $300-$400 boots back in '99, they were $400. They had these little black brownish stains, and I was like, "Hey man, hey dude, hey dude, what is that on your shoe?" And all of them, I'm talking about white boys that really didn't know each other, all the same thing. They would say, "It's blood," and I'd be like, "Blood from what?" Well, they would go out with their daddies hunting deer, um, and they would shoot the deer. And in some cases, before the deer was even dead, they have a tradition of going to the wound and squirting blood into a cup, and they will all pass around a cup and drink the deer's blood. They still do that today. I'm talking.
What backgrounds are they?
These were, yeah, Scotch Irish, Alabama Scotch Irish. That's the word I heard. Scotch Irish.
Really?
Yes, and they have a tradition of drinking the warm blood of the kill they made.
That sounds like Maasai tribe. They eat, first off, you can't even play with them because they make the lion run away from a fresh kill. So I don't even know
What
what
they
the hell
into?
they said. They're all, you guys win. But they drink blood. They drink the blood of the animals. That's, in fact, that's one of the culinary traditions that they brought to East Africa:
Well,
meat, milk, and blood.
they try to blame eating eating people on like the famine time when they had famine, but they've eaten people later on in centuries. It wasn't just like during the 1600s. They still eat people.
No, they like to do it. They said that you develop a taste for that particular type of meat. And they have underground clubs where they partake in it. And just like here in this country, they have underground places where you can buy monkey meat and other meat under the table, meat that you're not supposed to have, meats that people that eat monkeys want to eat but can't eat it. Hey, Seventh.
What's going on, Seven? What's on your mind, bro?
Where were you?
Oh,
Where were you during those atheist rooms?
uh,
We need to talk.
well,
Or are you avoiding me? Don't want to be backed up into a wall.
what had happened was
Uh
I
huh.
went to Home Depot to get me some roach spray because here in Louisiana we got these big ass cockroaches that fly that are the size of birds. So I went there and just my luck, I got caught up in an ice raid at the Home Depot. And so so the ICE agent, he came up to me and said, "Hey, you got ID?" I say, "No, I ain't got ID." He says, "Can you identify yourself?" "Yeah, then identify yourself." I say, "Hell no, I ain't identifying shit to you." Then he says, "Okay, we taking your Dominican ass out of here," because he thought I was Dominican because I'm a light skinned black dude. So he thought I'm Dominican. So I get caught up and I say, "Okay, I'm going to the Dominican Republic. Okay, I'm gonna get me a free vacation." He say, "No, we gonna send your ass to that prison in El
El
Salvador."
Salvador.
So I say, "Oh man, I gotta do something about this." So I called Benjamin Crump, and he got me out of that situation. And he says, "Look here, all you gotta do, cause you know this nigga, you gotta forgive the police when they do wrong." So I say, I say, "Okay, I forgive y'all. All right, I forgive y'all. All right, now let me go." He say, "Okay." Then I'm thinking, "Okay, this is wrongful arrest. I'm gonna get me a bag out of this." So I say, "Okay, come on, it's time to get that money." He say, "Yeah, you're right. Yeah, I'm gonna get this money." He say, "You ain't getting shit. Look, this gonna be your. I'm gonna get this money, and this gonna be your legal fees." I'm like, "What, nigga?" I'm like, "God damn, this turtle headed nigga." I'm like, "God damn, he got me." Yeah, so that's what happened. I got
That's what
locked
you were
up.
doing when I was trying to turn you away from atheism.
Oh, ma'am, you're not doing that.
Why not? You scientists agree that an intelligence is running things. How could all these
I
planets be
didn't know. I
lined
don't
up?
think an intelligence is running things.
Oh, okay. So you just don't believe in the guy in the sky.
No, I genuinely do not.
Okay, that's not what we were talking about. We were talking about how the planets hang up there very intelligently.
They don't.
They do.
No, they do not.
They do.
Think about it.
If the moon doesn't move right, all the water goes off.
We just happen to be that lucky place. There,
That's
there are
not
there
luck.
are
Oh,
That's
there
not
are other
luck.
planets out there with moons that are too close or have too many moons that threw off the gravity. It's amazing
Well,
how
the
we
creator is
live on the
still
planet.
working. He's
You know,
tweaking those still.
isn't it amazing we live on a planet that is conducive to life?
So you're
Isn't that
saying
amazing?
that some creator just threw some balls up in the air and then ours lined up good. And then he just took off and let the other balls spin around and do
Well,
whatever
you
they
kind of
want.
proving my point, man,
I
because
don't know.
if God created all this stuff, why would he put his greatest creation in the middle of nowhere in the universe? We are literally in the
Who
middle
said
of
we're
nowhere.
great? We ain't great.
You know, no, well, I think it's
Uh,
great because we're here, we're living. So I
we
mean,
the
I have a
greatest
bias to
creations. Have
that.
you seen giraffes?
Yeah,
seven,
they
seven,
used to be my favorite animal as growing up because I'm short,
seven.
and I used to like giraffes because I wanted to be tall, and giraffes were my favorite animal when I
We
was like,
ruined the room.
Yeah, I'm a, most respect, much love, professor. But you, what's your area? Your physics or chemistry?
"Oh, I'm physics. I don't do chemistry."
Okay, I used to teach physics for 2 years.
Okay. Truth be told, I do some electrochemistry.
Okay, well, all right, physicists, check this out. Years ago, there were at University of Alabama Birmingham, there was a really nice expo at the Honors College where they invited, I think it was 12 and 12, 24 scholars, and 12 of them, they're all PhDs and well respected. 12 of them were atheists, and 12 of them were theologians, people who believed in God. And it was so fucking brilliant. The panel asked questions. Like one of the questions was, how was the universe created? The atheist said there was a big bang, right? Out of nowhere. The theologian said, God said, let there be light. Out of all the questions they were asked, even though they wanted to disagree, they couldn't disagree. So my question to you, Seven, is how do you have a creation without a creator? How is that even possible? From mathematics, 0 plus 0 equals 0. It has to be one somewhere, right? There has to be a
Oh,
point
we
of
got
origin.
him now. We got him now.
Well, okay. I mean, well, that's okay. Well, then who created the creator? You're getting into this infinite regression. I
His
mean, it's
mom.
ridiculous. I mean,
You
if
thought you had me, didn't you, Seven?
you know,
There's something in Egypt. There's
no,
something called.
no, you're getting into an infinite regression. That creator must have been created by that creator, and so down the
Well,
line.
No, he said sometimes you just gotta pop out and show.
well.
That's how it happened.
The Egyptians, there's something not really talked about called the Shabaka stone. I'll put in a jumbotron later on, where some scholars argue was the original or origin of the book of Genesis. It's beautiful. I put in there, so I put in there. It's hard to describe, but I put a picture of it. And in the Shabaka stone, it says, "In the beginning there was darkness." It's just that Genesis stuff, but it's more beautiful than Genesis because it's more information. It says, "In the beginning there was darkness."
I believe it is beautiful. It is
We're winning him
poetic,
over now.
but it's not
It's
It
scientific.
is.
hold on, Seven. In the beginning there was darkness, then the darkness began to breathe. Then the darkness began to dream. And then the darkness began to realize that it can do what it dreamed of. And creation began, let there be light. So the Egyptians said, the darkness awoke. Just like, what? I'm here. Well, how is that scientific? That sounds woo woo, right? Well, and when I was in the total force community, I did computer programming, I did that type of stuff. And when you look at computers, the shell, like the dark, it comes out of darkness. When you're programming, it's just a dark screen. It's, you're typing. So the Egyptians basically said that the creator woke up, like the Bible says, I am that I am. Like the creator woke up. And the Egyptians believe, I'm gonna paraphrase it before I bore y'all, but the Egyptians believe that all life, all creation is the creator trying to understand himself. He's creating all these realities to try to understand who he is, what his nature is, because he awoke out of darkness. Now, what does that agree with? That agrees with the Big Bang. Out of darkness, boom, let there be light. I woke up,
Well,
basically.
that is basically very.
Yeah, that's beautiful, but it's yeah, I agree. I'm sorry, I cut you
I
off.
was
I'm
just
sorry.
gonna say, if that's true, then the creator is trying to understand himself by creating the reality we're in now.
That's what the Egyptians believed. That
So why would the creator make all these animals eat each other alive? Nature is very brutal, and humans are even more brutal. Wonder why we have all that.
uh-oh, Wani, right there is the justification for Lucifer. Faust in Mephistopheles, and y'all correct me, I always say it wrong. In his master,
That's it.
I think that's right, Mephistopheles, he talks about Lucifer,
Yeah.
and he says that Lucifer, the devil, whatever you want to call it or him, um, looked at what you said, Wani. Like basically, Faust said that that Lucifer looked at all this violence and unpredictability of the universe and said it wasn't fair, and that that entity said, you know what? It's not fair because it's unpredictable, and the only fair thing is to destroy everything, which is flawed, deeply flawed. That's where you get that's where Karl Marx came up with the idea of communism. Karl Marx, and no, we're off topic, but it just kind of prompted this. But Karl Marx said his favorite quote is "All things deserve to die." That's Luciferian, but that's a whole nother conversation. It's very fascinating. There are no answers to it. We can argue in circles all day, but my key argument to that whole issue is how can you have movement without an original point of origin? Kind of like the what do you call it? The Newton's cradle. You know that thing with the balls where you drop them.
Well, I think I wanted to ask Seven what exactly an atheist is because I don't really know because a lot of times they're just relating it to the guy in the sky where I'm talking about the whole universe and how it works in some order, even though I don't apparently like the order of it. I don't like the brutality of this environment. And there may be some better environments out there somewhere, but this isn't one of them. This is a brutal environment.
Well,
Yes, yes, ma'am. So atheist. Okay, so let me see if I can explain it. So, if you're a monotheist, if you believe in, the Judeo-Christian kind of religions, you're probably atheist to the other gods out there. You're probably
Hmm.
you're probably atheist to
Right.
all the gods in Hinduism. You because you don't believe in those. You're probably atheist to all the gods in the Greek mythology and stuff like that. Uh, so you're probably atheist to all those, and then me, I'm atheist to all of them. I just go one additional God. I don't believe in any of
Okay,
that.
no, I get that part because I think those are just ways that people want to interface and try to understand the universe around them, which is what people have been doing the whole time, worshiping celestial bodies and all these types of things they've been doing. Um, what I'm trying to explain is that I feel that there's an intelligence behind everything going on in the universe. I don't believe it's random and it can't just pop up out of nowhere. So that's what I'm trying to understand. Do atheists believe this is just like they have to believe someone created something? Some entity created these
I
things.
don't. I don't.
Well, how did they get here?
Oh, well, there is. Okay, so we all talk about the Big Bang and they think that's the beginning of the universe. Well, there turns out there may have been other Big Bangs previously. They're still researching this. But what they know for sure is that energy can be spontaneously created in vacuum states. This has been so so when I say the universe began at the Big Bang and you're asking me what was before the Big Bang, what you're basically asking me to uh tell you is what is north of the North Pole. I mean, I'm come on, I can't explain that.
So they say that the universe is still expanding. So it's kind of not a big bang unless we're saying it's an
Yeah, it is.
unending big bang. Do you know what I'm saying? So there was a big bang and then it never stopped banging.
Yeah, so well, right now I was what they know for sure is that yeah, it is expanding and what they found out and this was a Nobel Prize winning discovery is that it's actually speeding up.
You mean making
And there is
itself
a
bigger
dividend.
and faster? Making
Yeah, I've
more
heard
You
that.
mean
making
the
more universes and doing it at a higher speed, you mean?
yeah, there are, this is still speculation at this point that there might be a parallel universes, alternative universe versus, and we just happen to be in a universe that is conducive to a life. That is one of the proposals out there. I mean, I'm still open to that may not be true. I mean, there is also a debate of how the universe is going to end. Is it going to be in a what is it going to be in a cold, desolate place, or is it going to be uh I mean, I forget what they say,
You mean
but
another ice
but
age?
well, they call it where the universe, according to the laws of thermodynamics, everything may chill to absolute zero. That's there is they yeah, I mean, but at this point we don't know, and it's okay to say we don't know. Uh but but yeah, I mean this is still up for debate.
That see again, just like that thing at University of Alabama Birmingham, nobody disagreed. Like things, the universe slowing down to absolute zero, going back to darkness. What if the universe slows down? What if that's an infinite cosmic cycle of the creator going to bed, slowing down, going back to darkness, and then waking up again? What if it repeats like ripples in a pond, going in and out, concentric? This is interesting. Did you land your plane 7?
Uh well, I wanted to talk about the you guys were mentioning about cannibalism and stuff like that. Um, the only society I know that has no recorded history of cannibalism are us foundational Black Americans. We're the only people where that has never had any incidents of that. Even in our worst of times, we don't have that. I've seen it. I've heard some horrible stories in China during the the Maoist
Yes.
famines where people were doing unspeakable things to their children. I've seen this where during the Syrian civil war, people were cannibalizing their enemies. So I've seen it in the Arab Islamic world. Christianity has some stories of cannibalism. The
Yep.
Last Supper is a story of cannibalism. So, but yeah, I mean,
What about
I think
eating the
that's
body
something
of
you.
Christ? That's a symbol of cannibalism.
Yeah, that's my point. Yeah, cannibalism seems to be something that's yeah, it seems to be something that's practiced at instances in other civilizations, except ours. And I think I know why that is, but yeah, I'll yield the
Well,
mic.
That
go ahead, one.
I was just gonna say that's impressive because during when they had that plane crash in the Andes, I felt sorry for those guys because they did not want to eat, obviously didn't want to eat each other, and it really ripped them apart. But they did. They were athletic and they were able to survive. But they said some people woke up and found out what they were knocked out because the plane crashed. And they told them, hey, this is what's going on. They're not looking for us. We're trapped up here. We don't know which way to go. It's too cold to start, trekking out of here. We have to wait till spring, and we're eating people that died. And they just closed their eyes and said, good night.
And died. That's a fact.
I don't want to do that. So everybody wasn't able to do it. But those guys give motivational speeches, and it really they're hurt forever over that because they're all Catholic too. So obviously, for religious reasons, they don't want to be associated with that. But a terrible, terrible situation.
Before we move on to the next speaker, I want to kind of piggyback and give y'all something to watch when you got a little bit of time, maybe a weekend or so. There's a movie on Netflix right now by Michael Flanagan. I love his shit. He deep. It's called Midnight Mass, like Catholic Mass. And just to be quick with this, in Midnight Mass, there's a little small town, a little island town, poor, that's Irish and has a Catholic church. And the priest, who's in his 80s, going on real old, before he dies, he wanted to travel the Holy Land. So he gets on a trip. He's kind of a little senile, and he goes to Syria to see where Christ walked and all that. And he gets caught in a sandstorm, and in his dementia plus a sandstorm, he gets disoriented and he walks aimlessly, about to die of starvation and thirst. And the wind kicks up a cave to a very ancient church, and he stumbles in there and encounters a being which he thinks is an angel. The movie calls it an angel, but it's vampiric, and it bites him, and then it shares its blood with him. It's like a communion thing in there. It shares its blood with him, and then he turns real young, like back in his 20s or 30s, and he brings that entity back to the island to try to save people who are dying on the island. And he's convinced that it's an angel, and it's Christianity and blah blah blah. And but he really introduced evil. Why I'm bringing that up is, as a historian, this stuff, I don't think we know what we're looking at with this whole transatlantic slave trade, with the whole world domination and colonism, with these group of people who are just vampiric in nature. I think there's a possibility, if I can keep my tinfoil kupi on, which I'm gonna keep on for the rest of the show. I don't know if we know what we are looking at. Anyway, Ether, what are your thoughts on this?
Can I be heard?
Yes, sir.
Hey man, how y'all doing?
What's up, bro?
What's up, Nikki? What's up, Wani? Professor, we still going through your book over here,
Okay.
man. It's still looking good, man. It's still looking
Thank you,
good.
sir. Appreciate it.
Um, yeah, man. I wanted to address the topic of the room. I just came in, so I'm not sure if you guys hit on any of these points, but I just want to give my 2 cents on it. If you allow me here, man. I did see that movie. It was a great movie. Um, do sinners use vampires as a metaphor for the dominant society? I would say yes, absolutely. And I think it goes deeper than that. Because I see how they use the Irish, because I understand that, the Irish, they were involved in some of the first race massacres in this country. They were involved in the creation of the Ku Klux Klan. So the fact that he directly tied those two things together, I was, if you know American history, if you've been paying attention to the hidden colors and all that stuff, you will see this stuff. I've seen, one thing that stood out to me was how it was so easy to turn everybody else who wasn't like them. They weren't white, they weren't Irish, they weren't Klan members, but it was still, they were still able to get turned very easily. Um, and it really brought up that philosophical question. If you've ever heard Jason Black, he always, or he would sometimes ask this question: do you have to be white in order to be a white supremacist? And you know, me, I say no, but if you look at that movie, it kind of puts it into perspective for you. You can take on the white supremacist ideologies and look just like us. You're no longer one of us. You're not doing the things that that you came up doing. You're not doing what we do. Now you're doing what they do. Now you're once you've been bitten, you can't just come among us, like how you usually do. Now you gotta ask permission, and now you're thirsting, how they're thirsting, and you need to be able to, leech off of other people, your own people, the people you came from, in order for you to survive when it wasn't like that before you got around these people. I think that was a very masterful thing that he did in there. That the fact that all those people, black folks, white folks, mixed folks, that it didn't matter who you were, you know, once that infection of the devil got into you and everything like that, it really was no going back. And it's really the same way with us. Is once you make that deal with the devil, there's really no going back.
Done. Yes.
Yes, sir. And I've seen also in that very last part, I don't know if we're doing spoilers in here, but I'm assuming, this is a spoiler room, so I'm just gonna go ahead.
I haven't saw it yet.
Don't
I
Not
spoil it.
haven't saw it
necessarily.
yet.
That's not what he
Okay,
said.
okay. I was
Yeah,
about to
don't
say what
spoil
the
it.
end
Yeah.
was. I was like, oh snap. But yeah, if I would say this: when they tried to do a bunch of Christian stuff in there, they how the usual myth is you got to have a cross and holy water, and say Jesus' name, and that's supposed to be able to you use that to fight the devil and fight the vampires, and that Christian stuff wasn't really
Do
working
you
on her. And I
believe?
was like,
Do you believe that?
no, no, I don't, because my whole thing is, how Christianity was introduced, through Columbus and Cortez and John Smith, the people who came over here doing all of this savagery to us and everything. So I was like, well, yeah, of course Christianity will work against us. That's like, me being a bear and me telling you, well, my greatest weakness is honey. I'm a beaver and my greatest weakness is wood. If you really want to beat me, get a stick. No, that's actually, I actually know the Bible better than you, actually, because I'm the one who brought it to you. So that was my whole. I saw a lot of deep stuff in there, but yeah, as it pertains to white supremacy, it was very direct and indirect connections to that stuff. I would say 10 out of 10 out of that movie, man,
Yeah,
and that's all.
but to back up what you said, Ether. I've studied this stuff ad nauseum, and I've said this in spaces maybe hundreds of times, but 100 times at least. But the story of the Charist, Christ is a misnomer, but the bringer of gift, that goes back to Egypt, and the story's been manipulated as a weapon of control. Evidence for that, people look at the Council at Nicaea 325 AD. But just before we get off, look in the Jumbotron and put some from Dr. Howard Zinn, where he says, quote, the need for slave control led to an ingenious device. Now, this is speaking particularly to the Irish when they came over, because they were starting to have sex with black men and make mixed babies, but they needed to control the slaves. And but that Dr. Zen says the ingenious device was paying poor whites, themselves so troublesome for 200 years of Southern history, to be overseers of black labor and therefore buffers for black hatred. Okay, duh. But look at the next paragraph. Dr. Zen says religion was used for what? Control. That's what that Holy
Hmm.
Bible was made was. And I'm not saying the Bible's not holy. I think there are books in there that are divine, but they've been manipulated and rearranged to attack. And he did in the end of that movie. That was very powerful. He joined right along with them. They all started like, yeah, yeah, I like this too. But
Hmm.
the power was in our old traditions. My mama and my aunt June, the woman who raised me, would go see a root woman back in Alabama. But I don't want to derail the room. But very interesting point, Ether.
Yeah, and I want to piggyback off of that real quick, man, because yes, you are absolutely right. Those older traditions, for all we know, you know, those traditions might even be older than the version of the Bible, version of Christianity that they introduced to us, because there are points, we know the Council of Nicaea where they've, gotten rid of all these different books and everything. So they're not going to reintroduce us to those same things, and it empowers us. It's we understand that Christianity is it comes from Egypt, it's older than the Europeans, but the version of Christianity that that they were using in the movie and stuff like that they introduced to us and everything, that's the thing that empowered them and disempowered us.
Yes.
And the very fact that it just wasn't working on them, but these older, truer traditions and everything like that, for all we know, those might be some of the things that were left out of the original version
Oh,
before that
oh
council.
yeah. I urge my Christians in the room to go buy one of those books. You can get it at Barnes and Noble now. It's called the Book of Enoch, and in the Book of Enoch, guess
Oh, that's good.
guess what the Book of Enoch, a Christian book with Michael, not Michael, Michael. Elohim. That's so powerful. In that book, it shows that the Elohim, Michael, Gabriel, not Gabriel, um, taught us how to make spell. In the book of Enoch, it talks about root work. The angels was showing us how to do root work. But the Europeans didn't want us to know nothing about that. The book of Enoch is not in the King James version of the Bible. Why? Could it be because King James was a vampire? I don't know. I'm gonna leave that alone.
We like to talk about witches a
Hello.
lot and demons.
Guys, watch Midnight Mass. Please watch it because they up there worshiping, like doing communion and drinking vampiric blood and getting infected. Hello. All right. I'm assuming that brother Ether landed his plane. We're gonna go to.
It's like
Okay, appreciate you, bro. We're gonna go to Twizzle. Twizzle, educate us, please, sir.
Hey, hey, what's happening, everybody? Unfortunately, Professor, I don't have the knowledge and experience to educate y'all. I can only share my experiences, what I've been through with the family. Hey, Nikki. Hey, Sister Wani. What's up, everybody? I want to ask Seven a question, but it's kind of like we've been tapping on so much shit to where my ears been ringing so much to where I feel like I'm in New York trying to run and jump on the running subway right now. So the game and the knowledge that we're spitting is so deep. But Professor, we need to hold a space, and I would love to contribute on that space, but we need to hold a space about the Council of Nicaea. We really need to do something on that to really awaken
Oh, I
and
got you
enlighten
covered.
people on that because there's a lot of people who on here be boasting and bragging who have, in the words of Dr. John Henry Clark, a romance with certain things. Well, it's time to wake that game up on things because I always tell everybody if you love and if you really true something and have that infatuation with something, don't you think you should know about it? You know what I'm saying? But yeah,
Hello.
the council in Nicaea with, Serapis Christos and everybody, I would love to get into that. But I want to apologize to the room. Y'all can drag me over the cold. Yeah, Twizzle fucked up. I haven't seen the movie yet, but I promise you I'm gonna go see it tomorrow for my Taco Tuesday. I haven't seen
Don't
it
worry
yet.
about it. You can still talk on, speak on it. Just go ahead and speak.
I can't
You're okay.
speak on it because I haven't seen it, so I don't want to put my foot in my mouth and I know what
I
type of
mean,
shoe I
you don't
wear.
have to speak on a movie. You can
But
speak
yeah,
on the subject, though.
yeah, with vampirism. Everybody knows vampirism is nothing but gothic cannibalism. You know, that's just the romance that give white people the
Yes.
credibility to justify their cannibalism from where they came out the caves of Europe to where they ate each other. And not only that, the romance with the Viking saga, the Norse saga, their whole thing was they left out of Scandinavia just for what? To find something else to eat other than their each other. You know what I'm saying? Scandinavia is surrounded by ice damn near 6, 7 months of the year. So they're not farmers, they can't grow, so they have to be, they have to be carnivores. They have to eat meat. And if their animals can't eat grass, if their animals can't reproduce, what other meat do they have to eat? And that's where they have that infatuation with cannibalism, and that's where they justify their cannibalism with vampirism. That's why they have Dracula. Count Dracul from what was it, Romania, somewhere around there. Vlad the Impaler, who he was famous not for impaling his enemies, but he was famous for eating his enemies. It'll go all the way back to when me and Wani was talking about to when the white people used to enemies, they would ingest their enemies, feeling like if their enemies was bigger and stronger and powerful than them, once they ingest them, they would gain that strength from them. That's where all that shit reverberates to. That's where all that shit comes back to. You know what I'm saying? And that's how come we can sit back and laugh at them, because no matter how much they try to romance it or justify it, it all boils down to one thing. You motherfuckers is animals. You motherfuckers is barbaric. In the words of John Henry Clark, you motherfuckers prey on each other. After y'all can't prey on y'all brother, y'all go find another. And once you discover people other than them, you begin to prey on them. You know what I'm saying?
But what
That's how deep this shit go.
Twizzle, if I can interrupt you right quick, to support your point, our dear brother David Banner, who got a beautiful story. I love David's story, and he from Mississippi, not far from Clarksdale, said some shit back in the day. He said the secret to our, based on your point, the secret to our liberation is just to leave them alone. David Banner said, and I'm paraphrasing him, he said, if we leave Europeans alone and step out their way, which is what we're doing now, they'll turn on themselves and devour each other. He said they're so, what did he say? He said they're so damn, I forgot the word. They're so self-destructive. He's used another word.
Not only that, they're parasitic.
Right.
A parasite eats one. If a parasite don't have nothing else to feed on, it's going to eat each other. It's going to eat itself up. You know what I'm saying?
And the movie
And I 100,
the, mo-
yeah, go ahead.
the movie is a great metaphor for that, Twizzle. I'm not gonna spoil nothing, but the problems that our people in the movie, and it touched me so hard because I'm from not far from there, and I kind of spent my adult life in that region. Our problem is inviting others in. That's the through line of the movies. May I come in? And once they
Dr.
come in,
John Henry Clark said that. He
what do you
said we
say?
are always been hospitable to strangers.
Oh
He
yeah, he sure
always
did,
said that.
Doctor.
We always been hospitable to strangers. Instead of us being cautious towards people, we always been welcoming to
That's
people. You
because
know what
of
I'm saying?
slavery. We had to welcome everyone in to work with us. So we have been conditioned to do so.
And ladies and gentlemen, the Africans that sold us, the imbecile African chiefs, started that trend. And you reminded me, Twizzle. Thank you for bringing that back to me. Dr. John Henry Clark said the African invited the European to the table, and the African became the meal.
He said the same thing about Cortez. Cortez came as a guest and stayed as a conqueror. You know what I'm saying? This shit is deep. But yeah, I want to ask Seven, are you still there? I want to ask you a question, young man.
Yes, sir, I'm here.
Do you know have you ever heard of have you ever heard of the Sirius mystery? The Sirius star mystery?
No, sir.
Right. Just a little something. The Sirius star mystery. It's a tribe of Africans called the Dugon tribe. They are the so-called one of the last descending tribes from Egypt when Egypt got
The
sacked.
leadership class, the priests.
Yes, the Dugon tribe, they are very famous because they predicted and they know about this Sirius star mystery that's supposed to be light years away from us. You know what I'm saying? And they knew about this hundreds of years way before the first telescope was invented. And they always told people that we come from there. The Sirius star is a water planet. You know what I'm saying? And they say we are a water people. That's why, like, when you see the sign Aquarius and you see like that Starbucks sign with that water goddess on there, that's what that symbolizes. But the story, the most unique story about it, they say they come from that planet, a water planet, and they travel through water. And they told the scientists, when the scientists like intervene with them, that the Sirius star is a star that has a dwarf planet that intertwines with it. Their orbit is not like how how Earth orbits the moon. I mean, how Earth orbits the sun in a circular position. The Sirius star, what makes it so unique, it circles like an intertwine, like a braid. You know, like how our DNA chain is, how it's twisted like that. That's how that Sirius star planet and the dwarf star next to it. That's how it eclipse each other. That's how it orbits one another. And the orbit is 45.5 years. In the Dugons, they told the scientists that, and they didn't believe them until the 1980s when the French scientists developed a telescope to see that far. And once they saw it, they saw that Sirius star, and they saw it. What made it so unique, that it intertwined with that dwarf planet that was next to it. And that's what made it so unique. And it's like, how did these Africans know about that? You know what I'm saying?
And like
So the
and
story.
Twizzle, like vampires, the French stole the information and wrote it off like it was theirs.
Yep. But the cool part about that Dugon tribe, they still exist in Africa right now. And what made them so unique, they knew the story of the stars thousands of years, way before, like Dr. Clark said, a Neanderthal wore a shoe or lived in a house with a window. Not only that, the Dugons were so unique, they knew how to communicate with animals. They used to draw lines and symbols in the sand with stones and everything and leave it. And at
Ooh,
nighttime, the signs and symbols will be arranged in a whole different way.
that's oh
Yes.
man, that goes back to the movie Connection with
Yes.
connection with nature, connection with the
I land my plane there though, y'all.
what Twizzle was talking about is the Dogon. The way they find out information is so beautiful. There's a book, ladies and gentlemen, you can get off of in Google. Put the pale fox. Holy shit! And the Dogon
Yep.
would do an equation on the ground in nature, like leave like a almost like a chessboard. They use bones and all kind of stuff, but rocks, and they would arrange it in a way to ask a question and leave a little food. And the female pale fox would come to the thing in the middle of the night when nobody was around, take her food, like thank you, and complete the goddamn equation.
I used to do it with lions too. I used to do it with
Wow.
lions too, seriously.
But like in the movie, when you become a vampire, you become separated from nature. And what are the Europeans? That's powerful because Europeans, like I just said earlier, when I was in high school, they don't view nature as something to offer a gift to ask a question to, like our brother George Washington Carver used to do with plants. Dr. Carver got his information from communicating with plants as equals, as sentient beings. The European kills it. He's disconnected. All right, Capone, what's on your mind? Capone
I
Denhausen.
just want to
Oh
say this,
man,
Professor. They
I'm
kill
learning a
everything
whole
they can't
lot.
control.
Right,
Yep.
right. And once you realize what they doing, they get violent and want to take everything else anyways by force. But shout out to the professor, Sister Nikki, Sister Wani. Love y'all. My beautiful
Love
black
you.
people in the room. Yeah, Sinners was an awesome movie. I see how the metaphor connection is connected to these demons. And I want to know, Sister Wani, our professor, are you guys familiar with the black matter theory or dark matter theory?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Yes, that like, it's the beginning and end, and it breaks all bounds and laws of physics. And I think that's how, these planetary systems were created at the moment where I'm at right now. So it's kind of crazy because that's the only thing that can start a black hole and end a black hole. And it's just like weird how we were going over that topic of how, the world was created through, all the, astronomical ways, but which was awesome. That's something I'm into as well. And then
Well
go
the
ahead, brother.
Egyptians, the Egyptians, like I said earlier, to support your point, with the Shabaka stone said in the beginning there was darkness. Could that have been dark matter?
Yeah,
Out
that's
of
what I
darkness comes light.
exactly what I was thinking. That's exactly like I said, because that is everything, but it's nothing. You know what I'm saying? So how can something be something but be nothing at the same time until it's
Can I
activated?
get deep? Can I get deep with y'all right
Go
quick?
ahead, Professor. You got it.
The number with the most potential, the most power, is zero. Let me prove it to you right quick. Let's look at it in terms of sacred geometry shapes. Let's think of a piece of pizza. What does a full, complete pizza look like?
A zero.
A zero.
Or back in the days when Caesar's Pizza had the little square one and it looked like a big number one for like $3. It was like 3 feet of pizza for like $10. It looked like a number one. But I'm
Yep.
old school. I don't know. It was before Little Caesars came. It was Caesar's Pizza, and they had that
Oh,
big
you
three
used to
foot
rock
pizza
that,
for $10.
and the shit was good back in the
Man, it
hood.
was hella good. Nah, it's just like these kids don't even know Little Caesars. That wasn't nothing,
What you know about Pizza Hut?
Pizza.
man.
That was Domino's, right?
The little gnome thing, the domino. Yep, all that. Yeah, but that was a great movie, and it ties into what we're going through now. They need us to survive regardless of how, they say they don't. With that being said, is we can leave, create something, and then here they come wanting to be invited in, which we all talked on the top. But have you also seen what's the Exorcist?
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah.
how
The
they
original?
always using outside of Christianity our old ways to heal and to fix things, especially with alchemy. You gotta
Uh,
what is it? You gotta give something to take something.
as above, so below.
Yep. Yeah, but like I said, that our ways of living and our ways of healing has been around before this, authored indoctrination of religion. And me getting back into that has really, awakened a whole lot of things, and it's been a beautiful journey, along with the knowledge that I receive here, along other places. But I appreciate the scholarship, Professor, Sister Wani, Sister Nikki, all the love, and I land my plane on that: love, peace, reparations, delineations, and deportations.
Yep. All right. Thank you, brother. All right. He's right. The secret to our salvation is delineation and going back to those old ways and not shunning ourselves. And I'm not dissing anybody's religion, but we're dealing with facts here. And when we were at our highest point, we didn't have a quote unquote religion, a dogma. We had a spiritual system to communicate with our ancestors.
And what
And
was brought
everything.
to us was not ours.
No, it was Dr. John Henry Clark. I'm glad Twizzle brought him up. Dr. John Henry Clark said, quote, nothing has come out the Europeans' hand that's not been a tool of, what do you say? A tool of European domination. Everything they give us serves them in the end. And unfortunately, ladies and gentlemen, and I get in trouble, people get just flip out for me saying this, that Bible, that Holy Bible, is a tool of conquest. And I'm not saying the Bible ain't holy. I'm saying that the way it was rearranged was designed to lower our self esteem. Dr. Yosef Ben Yakinen did research on that. Yosef examined.
Sorry to interrupt you,
No,
Professor,
go
but I
ahead.
had a quick question on that. So, was it the Romans who stole the Bible first, or was it the Latin creators? How it was like how it came from Africa, then it went to Latin, and then went to Rome. Who took it first?
Oh, I'm so glad you asked. So the Europeans were expanding and they really wanted sacred information. They went across the world stealing sacred information, and they went to what was it? Constantinople at the church. It used to be it was called now the Hagia Sophia, the Church of the Holy Wisdom. And it was a Egyptian church. And now people say it was Muslim, but Dr. Walter Williams says that it was a church led by the Coptics, the Coptic Egyptian priests. And people call bullshit on that. But I went to Africa last time I went. I went with the college, but I was really on a secret mission of my own to confirm that the Coptic exist. That church is still up in Ghana. It's up and running. Well, anyway, to answer your question, uh, Constantine um, led an expedition, like a war, to steal information out of to just take to conquer Constantinople. And he was losing. His men were getting killed because the men he were fighting had an ideology similar to Islam. They didn't mind dying. They would die and say, okay, if I die, I'm gonna get 72 virgins, or I'm gonna get prizes in heaven for dying in the name of my faith. And Constantine's men were like, sir, how can we fight them when they're not afraid of dying? So Constantine found that ancient African religious system, And Constantine had a dream in the middle of the night, said, "You will conquer in the sign of the cross." And Constantine introduces men to what became what Dr. John Henry Clarke called Christendom, not Christianity, but they say Christianity. Long story short, Constantine won the war, went back to Rome, and long story short, the emperor was going to the Colosseum to watch the gladiator games like he would, and he saw his uncle just out the blue. He saw his uncle down there about to fight a lion in the name of Christ. And the emperor said, "Oh, he's a damn fool." He almost stopped the game, but he said, "You know what? My uncle's a damn fool anyway. Let him die." So, the uncle died. And the next game, the emperor went to see the Colosseum, and he saw his wife and child down there ready to die in the Colosseum in the name of Christ. And as Dr. John Henry Clarke said, the emperor said, "Stop the show. We need to find this out. This is powerful." So, like vampires, they took the spiritual system. Now, they had a meeting with the emperor and his leading men and leading scholars. One scholar was Saint Augustine, which the Catholic Church portrays as a white man, but you can find pictures of Saint Augustine was jet black. And they introduced this new religion called Christianity. And history says that academic canon says that Saint Augustine started laughing. He said, "These people are showing me a religion that existed 5,000 years ago." Well, to answer your question, brother, at that Nicene Council, they decided on what books to put in the Bible to weaponize it to make conquest of the world more efficient. And they took stuff out, and according to Yosef Ben Yakin, they put stuff in. For instance, the Queen of Sheba, who was a bad motherfucker, um, apologizes in the Bible. She says, "Forgive me, though I'm black and comely." That means she apologized to Solomon, who a lot of people say Solomon didn't exist. But if he did exist, Solomon was a peasant king. His kingdom had nothing on Sheba's. But anyway, in the Bible, Sheba apologizes to this peasant named Solomon and says, "Forgive me, though I'm black and comely," which means forgive me for my. She apologized for her black skin. Black and comely means I'm black, but I look good. Ben Yakinen says that's bullshit. Queen of Sheba would have never apologized because everybody was black then. Black was beautiful. You know what I'm saying? Was considered royalty and divinity. So that is just, I'm using that as an example to show how little bitty pieces were put in there to justify the European plan of conquest. The other one is slaves be obedient to your masters. God would have never said that. That's a weapon. It's a weapon of conquest, and the movie talks about that very.
Well, how do we know since this system was set up where animals eat each other alive?
Oh, good point. But
Well,
Maybe the
how I feel
creator
is that if
likes.
you learn from animals, you know their nature. So we came from a system where we weren't as, you know, eager to eat each other. And so that being said is once you know a behavior of an animal, you know what their intentions are. You know, including the vampires, like the sister with the root work, which he gave little brother that brother the necklace, everything, like asking questions. You know, give somebody some garlic, or you know, it's once you know the animal's nature, you know how they gonna come.
which
And
goes
and,
back.
and
Thank you, Capone, for saying that, because it goes back to the what we call the Memphite theology of Aset Asar Heru, which was a holy trinity, which later became, Father, Son, Holy Spirit. We're not going to talk about that 'cause I don't want to waste time on the stage. But back when the black man and woman were ruling the world, that system, that Holy Trinity, involved the family. Aset was the woman, Asar was the man, Heru was the child. The Egyptians deified the family. Like basically what I got from my extensive study on that um, spiritual system is basically the creator exists in positive and negative, and birth, having a child, is divine. But in short, what I got from it, I could be wrong, what I got from it is we're divine. We have the power. All of us have the potential of facilitating the Christ, what the Europeans call Christ, but it's Charist, the Charist energy. I think Christ is an energy, and Charis means a bringer of gifts. We all can become Heru, the hero. The European took it. The simple way of looking at this is the European made everything in reverse, which is satanic in a way, Luciferian. So instead of every child born of a woman, every black child born of a woman, but I'm gonna leave that alone, has the potential of becoming the Heru, the hero, the Heru, the hero, facilitating the Christ energy and becoming and destroying evil. Instead of doing that, the European said that the Heru, the Charis, the Christ is not in you, it's outside of you. So sit around and wait for him to come back. I'm gonna leave that alone before I piss somebody off.
Right. That's how they tricked everybody into not resisting. It's like you're going to get this prize of heaven when you're dead and then just throw your whole life away thinking about that prize. Yeah, that's how they trick you out of your life.
Yep, that's how that book is a weapon. A lot of our brothers and sisters are not ready to hear that, but when we hear that and we go back, you want a book, get the book of Enoch and learn how to deal with some roots. Like I said, my family was heavy into hoodoo, or is heavy. I'm telling too much of my business, and it's that's been done in my life to change circumstances. We'll talk about that in person. We're moving on. I think it was housing, then Miss Stacy. Go ahead, housing.
Y'all talking above my pay grade. But shout out to everybody in the house. Wadi, Nikki.
Hey,
Uh I
Peace.
just
What's
wanna
going on, brother?
hey, how everybody doing? I just wanna say, Professor, when you give people the mic and they talk about the movie, don't tell everything, because I'm still watching it.
Oh, hopefully I haven't told everything, have I?
Yeah, I mean I'm
I'm trying to be careful to not say.
you mean
I
you're
asked
watching it at
everybody
home?
because
Wink, wink,
I'm
nod, nod. Watching it at home?
yeah,
I
I
wouldn't
got
answer that. I wouldn't do. I wouldn't. I wouldn't answer that.
Allegedly.
If it was me.
He
yes, no, listen, I got the
allegedly.
I got I got multiple apps where I can watch
Hey,
any movie I want.
housing. Keep in mind that a lot of people are watching this show, and I
Okay, Professor, I
got it
got you. Matter of fact, I left the movies to watch you guys come over here to listen to you guys. Anyway,
exactly.
this is a little above my pay grade. I'm not even gonna try to speak on this. But one thing I want to say, right, is that when we talk about the Egyptians, right, one thing the Christians did, right, that guy, what's his name, the fat boy,
Uh,
in 3,325, what's his name,
the fat boy. I'm trying to think of who you talking about. You
the
talking about
guy,
three five
the guy you talking about,
Constantine?
Constantine. He took the woman out.
No. Told me one laggy did that.
Well,
Um.
they all right. I got it mixed up, but they took the woman out.
What was his name again, Professor Toby Wan?
So it's spelled Ptolemy. Pto. God dang it. Ptolemy. I could Ptolemy one.
Ptolemy. I think the P
Ptolemy.
is silent, or at least I always thought it was like supposed to be silent, and it's pronounced Ptolemy, but
Yeah,
I could be wrong.
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's
because
Ptolemy.
I was going back and forth with this religious freak talking about Jesus was a Roman soldier, and I couldn't remember his name because you was mentioning it. I was like, I called him
Who
Obi Wan
said
from
that?
Star Wars. I was all like, God damn it, what's his name again?
Who said he was a Roman soldier?
Wow.
yeah,
Oh
your
yeah, no,
back.
I was going back and
Duh.
forth with some weirdo, but yeah, he was like a religious freak, and I called the Toby from Toby One Obi Wan Kenobi from Star
Obi-Wan
Wars.
Kenobi.
Yeah. Miss Stacy was right.
That's him.
It's told me. I say put told me because to help me spell. I'm a terrible speller. But
Oh, so he was the one that took the woman out.
yeah, this is why, and I'll try to brief it real quick.
Break it down, Professor.
Egypt, I'm using that for academic reasons, but we think it was called a Kemet. The Europeans named it Egypt as as a warfare weapon. But anyway, Egypt was the school where everybody went there to learn, and but you could only go so high. They didn't teach spiritual systems. They didn't teach the mystery schools to Europeans. You had to be an Egyptian. And not only that, you had to be like, I think it's 7 years old. It's beautiful. I'll break it down later on in the show when I get the book. that George James died for. He was a Mason, and he told all that stuff, and he died like Osiris. But we'll talk about that later. But anyway, the Egyptians helped Asiatic men. They were real secret about their stuff, but they let Asiatic men come. The Western Asians come in, the Arabs, to do work. And over time, the Pharisees felt sorry for them and gave them women. Big mistake. They invited them in, just like the fucking movie. And in according to Dr. Chancellor Williams, in about 200 years, 100 and something, 200 years, the Arab men were having babies with these black women, and the babies turned on Egypt, and a civil war broke out. Now,
Yeah,
when
you
that's
talked about that.
now, when the civil war broke out, the defenses of Egypt were down, and Alexander, I'm gonna say it's the Great. I don't think that fucker was great, but Alexander saw that as an opportunity to attack, and he attacked Egypt, killing everybody and stealing the books and whatnot. Long story short, Alexander got drunk and was killed by his black general and maybe lover named Cletus one Niagara. Cletus Niagara. Cletus the Black is what it means. He's a black soldier or general. Cletus Niagara was second in command. Alexander was the chief commander in chief. And when Cletus killed Alexander, they killed him, and that left Alexander's weak ass cousin or nephew or cousin, he was related to him, named Told Me One. Told Me One was very insecure. He wanted to be known as the savior. But to answer your question, Told Me One was trying to study Egypt to find out where the power was coming from. He noticed that spiritual system that became Christianity was the source of their power. They all go to church and etc. So Told Me One looked at the likeness of God, which was Asar. The European renamed him Osiris, which is God of the perfect black. He was a jet black man, and Told Me One said, I want you to told the Coptic Egyptian priest, I want you to make an image of God that looks just like me. Because you remember, he wanted to be Sotar, the savior. As history goes, the Egyptian priest said, hell no, I'm not doing that. God looks like what God looks like. And he kept killing them until he found an Uncle Tom that was like, okay, fine, I'll make God in your image. So he had them introduce the people to it, the Egyptian people to that new likeness of God. But to answer your question, Told Me One as a European had a problem with with the spiritual system because, like I said earlier, the spiritual system deified the family. There was a female version likeness of God, Aset, like asset. That's deep if you think about
Right.
it. And so he couldn't stand that. So he made Aset the Holy Spirit, basically, with no gender. And he made Asar God, which is invisible in the sky, no likeness. And he changed the image of Heru to himself. So when you see a white stringy haired Jesus, you're looking at Told Me One. But hopefully that answers your question. He got rid of Aset and turned it into the Holy Spirit.
Okay. Okay. Now, I'm halfway through the movie and I'm loving every bit of it. And I'm gonna land my plane. And
Oh,
Professor,
oh, you're gonna love the end.
Professor, I don't want
Yes, sir.
come on, want to give description about the movie. Be subtle as possible. Try not to reveal everything because I'm listening to your guys chop it up.
Well, the thing is, I forgot who said don't reveal everything. But it's gonna be kind of hard for that movie.
Yeah,
It's so deep that
yeah.
I don't know if we could if we tried. Me and my students, I got to work in my first lecture today. The first thing one of my students said was, "Have y'all seen Sinners?" And my whole lecture erupted like we didn't even talk. It erupted into talking about sinners, and we kept trying to explain what was going on, and we couldn't do it because it's one of them things you gotta see. You can't explain it.
Hey, Professor, that's why they mad when we perform the Black National Anthem, because they don't understand our communication.
Yeah,
You know how many movies we made that we got zero recognition for when it comes to Oscars and stuff like that? So many movies.
yeah. They said the Matrix was made by a black woman. I think she sued him and won in
Yep.
court.
Yes, yes, and she got paid.
Sophia Stewart, the lady Sophia
Yeah.
Stewart. I had the privilege of speaking with
Genius. A
her.
pure
I had the
genius.
privilege of speaking with her
Yeah,
twice.
we've interviewed her multiple
Hmm.
series on Spaces. Yeah.
Wow.
Hey, Twizzo,
I
brother
still watch
Twizzo.
that.
He's the original Oracle.
Hey, brother Twizzo.
What's happening?
Y'all was talking about pizza in California.
Caesars, old school Caesars. You remember them?
Yeah, Little Caesars, pizza, pizza. We had Little
I
Caesars. Hey,
listen.
up here though, our number one pizza was Round Table.
I went to,
Round Table was like fucking some shit you
What
got. You
about
sat down. Hey,
Shakey's?
but
What
we
hold
about
never
on.
had
Shakey's?
Shakey's. I never had
Why
Shakey's
not?
before. The Round
I
Table was the predominant. It was Round
Yeah,
Table,
round
Pizza
table
Hut.
ruled the world for a
Oh,
Yeah,
minute.
it
I'm
was
talking
Round
to
Table.
a mute. Wanda, you trying to say something?
I go ahead,
No, I
Wani.
said, what about Shakey's?
I never had Shakey's.
California. Is that true?
I don't know, bro. I don't know.
Well, anyway, I had pizza. When I went out to California. I went out. I was in Malibu at the time, and it was a pizza place out there. I let the guy know it was okay, you know. But the best pizza in the world is on 116th Street and First Avenue.
New-
That,
Chicago hear that.
listen,
Yeah, I
Unless
was just
Chicago
about to
got
Chicago
say.
the
I
hit
heard
us
best.
with their
Chicago got
deep
some good
dish.
pizza.
well, we running neck and neck with Chicago, but they did say Chicago's touching on a good
Well,
pizza.
I wouldn't really compare New York pizza. I know we're getting off topic, but I wouldn't compare New York pizza to Chicago pizza because they're different. Like they're both delicious, but Chicago got deep dish shit. Y'all making me hungry, so I'm gonna stop this.
Yes, I never,
But
as me being a chef in my
I
30
like.
years,
I
I
don't
never
like
I'm
had
thick.
about to
deep
eat some
dish.
potato chips, and it's all your fault.
I
Listen,
never
I
had
don't
deep
like
dish
thick pizza. I
pizza.
like thin pizza.
I
I
don't
like.
like deep dish. What kind of butts are you
No, I
guys
hate
trying to
that
get
thin
people to
crust shit. The
have?
thin crust
I
shit get on
love
my nerves.
thin, crisp. I want mine on a cracker.
I
Yes,
can't do
Wani.
that, Sister
Wani,
Wani. How you eat
Wani.
thin crust?
We
I
ain't
can't
eating
do it.
Mr. Big
Hey, Wani, me
Deep
and you were
Dish.
here, Wani. If you ever come to New York, you got to go to 116th Street and First Avenue. It's the famous pizza joint. Everybody, movie
That is
stars
the
and
best pizza
everybody,
though.
you can
Hold
catch
up,
When
hold
you
them.
up.
bite the crust
Me
and
and Cece are
the
having a
crust
fight.
is crispy, that is the best.
Listen, it's right in the brick oven, and they got a
I'm not
restaurant,
eating
but
any
they
of
got
that
this
because
special
it's
place
not
where they make
vegan.
pizza.
Is it vegan? No. So I'm not eating
Yes,
it.
You could get a vegan pizza like that, Waddy. You could,
Y'all want people to have three
but no, you can
butts,
get a vegan pizza.
is
You
what you're
can get
trying to
one with the
do.
cauliflower crust. You
Oh,
can
you
get
ain't
with a
gonna leave. You
bechamel.
gonna get the vegan
Did you
butts
just
You can
call it
get it
involved?
with
booty
the
You got
pizza?
bechamel
everybody fucked
with the
up.
little
hey,
pesto on it with some roasted vegetables on top of it.
They are
hey,
hell bent
Wani,
on getting everybody fucked up.
Wani. One thing about New York, you know, it got a lot of vegans in New York.
I know. I ate my way through that whole town.
Yes, but when you
Child, I
come
was eating and
when you come
Wanda
back
was
to
getting
New
her
downtown.
big
York,
back on.
Professor,
Just getting your
Yes,
big
sir.
back on
I
in New
was
if
York.
your
big back
guys
and
ever
all the
come
way
back to
over
New
that
York,
place.
you got to go to 116th Street
For what?
and First Avenue,
For what?
the best pizza in New York.
I probably already ate over there.
If you
I
know
don't
you.
I don't keep the
Well,
addresses. It's
Chicago
just
has
like
the
a
best pizza though. Chicago has the best pizza. New York, they got really good thin crust pizza, but Chicago got the best pizza in the country.
I
why
think
do
they're
you
both
guys
good. They're
like
Chicago
so
different.
pizza, you
much
gotta eat with a fork.
dough? Why do you guys like thick dough? That's too
I
thick.
Yeah,
don't like thick
No,
dough. It's just the way it's made. It's
You might as
so
well just eat
It's
some,
good.
yeah.
hard to explain, but
You just might as
Chicago
well eat
is
some pasta.
popping.
You might as well just eat some pasta or baked rosini or
that's
something like that.
yeah.
thick.
I don't
Yeah.
like thick
If
pizza.
you eating
I
deep
don't
dish
know,
pizza,
man.
you might as well just eat
The
some
grilled
pasta
cheese.
That
shit.
throws off your low carb diet for like 7 years.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, you get fat eating Chicago pizza. You will gain weight.
So Chicago pizza is big back pizza.
yeah. They
Yes,
got
Big
it
thick
back
is.
pizza.
pizza. Yeah, thick crust and all
Oh
that.
yeah, man. I was big backing all over New York. I had people FedExing me food when I moved out here. I was not satisfied with California cuisine. FedEx me some pizza.
Say it ain't so on it.
They got some good
Oh
vegan
yeah.
spots though in some of the biggest cities though.
For me, California is known for its salad, tacos, and barbecue, not
I got
pizza.
to
Y'all
get
need to
out of
come
here.
up north to get this Dungeness crab. Y'all need to come up here and try our shit in the
I need
Bay.
some big back food.
Yeah, come up here. I
Oh well,
try
yeah,
our shit in the
Frisco.
Bay.
Yeah, Frisco got some good ass seafood for sure.
We the culinary capital of the West Coast, San Francisco, the Bay Area. We got Napa. We
Yeah.
Stay
got the
filled
wine
with
What is San
hungry
country.
niggas.
We
Francisco?
got the wine country up north. The wine and cheese for the bourgeois. I know Wani would
Man,
love
What is
Fisherman's
that.
trying to
Wharf.
be
Wani would love
la
that.
di da?
Nani would love the wine country, the
I do
vineyards.
not like wine.
You said you got to
That's
drink wine. You can go up
You
there
don't
for
like
the. You can go up
Merlot?
there for the cheese. You can go up
I
there for the
like to go up there for
charcuteries.
the.
You know, you can go up
They
there and
don't.
eat
They
fruit.
have nothing I want. They got cheese and wine, and I don't
Yeah, you
even want to
can't
go.
have cheese. Yeah.
I can get
You
on
can
the
eat the
train
fruit,
though and hang
Wani. You
out.
can eat grapes. You can eat
It's
No,
strawberries.
all
okay,
I
You
have
know,
PG, a
is
you
little
can
biscuits.
have a fruit.
gas.
You can have a fruit crudité. You know what I mean?
There's enough fruits on here anyway.
All right, all right, ladies and gentlemen, in the jumbotron, you'll see Wani Spots and Nikki the God's Cash App. Show them love for all their dedication and hard work and scholarship. And in addition, the gentleman mentioned my book earlier. I still have a couple copies left. If you want to copy my book, put $25 on Our Story Publications and put your full address, and I'll send you a copy of my book that I published at Lemoyne College years ago. That talks about our plight during the transatlantic slave trade. Well, with that being said, I want to kind of point out something. This movie has really started a wave that's making foundational Black Americans be aware of vampiric nature of the dominant society. While y'all were talking, something popped up on my feed. I'm gonna put in a jumbotron that shows Lady Gaga, who involved with what's her name? Hold on, let's see the lady's name. Wanda, you gonna know who I'm talking about? Her name is let's see. Mm, oh, Maria Abram. How do you say that? Abramovic,
I don't know.
the occultist. But I'm
Hmm.
about to put some in the chat that shows that they were uh uh
Eating people together.
yeah yeah. She's well, a picture's worth a thousand words. Look in the chat at that picture of Lady Gaga devouring a they're having a little ceremony where they're drinking blood off of a person.
Mhm. Right.
Yeah, they like doing shit like that. You remember they made like a whole cake with a like they were eating a black person.
Oh my God.
Yeah, they like doing
Nothing to
stuff like
see
that.
here.
That sound like
That's
that Bohemian Grove type shit.
exactly.
It is.
Yep, vampiric nature.
And I don't
Yeah,
I don't
they
even
into that. They into that.
I don't even have on a tinfoil kufi. I'm just straight up saying it.
I went to a rep.
But
I
it,
went to a.
but listen, if
Go
you
ahead.
notice, since this movie came out, right, you're gonna see a lot of red in a lot of areas, like the commercials and everything. Red, 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 red. Mark my words. I said it to you.
Man, I went to a real fancy restaurant in New York one time, and they had some on the menu called steak tartare, which was like their exclusive meal. And steak tartare is fucking raw meat with a egg on it. And you have millionaires and billionaires sitting there eating raw meat. They're
Yeah,
Go ahead.
black people don't get down like
No,
that.
I,
That's a
I
That
thing
couldn't
in
touch that
that's
Wisconsin.
shit.
called rare. That's called rare. What they do,
That's a thing in
Yeah.
Wisconsin.
they sear it on one side and then they just turn it over and serve it just like that.
Dog,
I
Twizzle, it was
hey, Professor, I used to have the motherfucking executives from the motherfucking HR. That we always cook the meat at a certain time so we can let it sit and come together. Whenever you cook, like whenever they cook your steak, they always got to let it sit for a minute so it can come together. In other words, it'd just be flabby and fall all apart. Whenever I used to let the meat sit, we used to have executives, white executives, straight Scandinavian, tall, blue-eyed, motherfucker with hair looking like spaghetti, looking like they was straight German. They would always come up and eat that shit when it was flabby. You know what I mean? They was eating it like it was raw, and they said this is how they
No,
like.
with steak
No,
tartare.
we
yeah.
used to make this steak up here. You know, up here we got tri-tip. And whenever we used to do the tri-tip, I would always cook it at 100 degrees to let it sit because we always to have it ready. So therefore, when it was time to serve, we used to want it to have it firm. I used to always cook my meat medium. So therefore, once it sit, it will be at medium. It would be a medium well. It has some pink in it, but yet it won't be flabby in the middle, looking like it's straight flesh. You know what I mean? Like it was straight cut off a cow. But them motherfuckers used to want it at 90 degrees because they wanted it at medium rare. You know what I'm saying? That way it can sit and
That
still
ain't
be
medium rare,
rare.
my man. That is
That's
raw.
how them Neanderthals want. That's how them hairy knuckle draggers that have lice wanted it, bro. And I saw
And
them
then
eat
Yeah,
be
it.
crying when they
because
get those diseases
I
from
Yes.
like my
not picking the
steak
meat.
blue. I like it blue.
I like mine's medium well. Give me a little pink because that's the flavor and the protein, but I don't want it raw. I don't want to be chewing on flesh. You understand me?
A little pink is okay
Little,
if you
just a
do it
little.
right.
Yes, that's medium well. You know, that's between
Yeah, I don't even eat steak because of that shit. It's
125 and
gross.
115. You know,
Dog.
I like mine
But
at
that
one fifth, fifth, 15. I like it blue.
you know what I'm saying?
Mm,
That's
you guys
a
are very
steak is the
picky
best protein
eaters.
in the world. That's the best protein in the
I'm
world.
good. I'm
it is the
passing on
best.
all
It's
that.
Are
got the
you
best
guys having
vitamins in
grass
it.
fed? Are you
But
having grass fed meats?
the
If it was
grass
up
Yep.
to
fed
me,
that's
Sister
shipped
Wani,
through
I
the
would go to Japan and get
factory.
me a Kobe beef. You know what I mean?
Oh,
I
showing
get
off
that
over
steak
there,
that's
huh?
I get that steak that's riddled with fat, so therefore you could cut it with a knife. I mean, you could cut it with a fork. That steak's so good. I think it's $1,000 a steak. You know what I'm saying?
Wow.
That
They
that
got some
Japanese
black
man.
farms right here in America that's giving up good steak,
Hell
grass
yeah.
fed and
But
everything.
grass fed doesn't mean grass fed anymore because they just have a factory where they have a grass machine and they've
They
got
always cheat.
all of the cows just huddled together inside of a little fence
Jesus
inside of a
Christ.
factory, and then they're just throwing grass on them. So it's really not natural grass fed. But what I was
Ugh.
going to say is that's a thing here in Wisconsin where people eat raw ground beef and would just put some raw, some uncooked onions on top of it and just
Ugh.
make it a sandwich and just put a little salt on top of it, and it's just a regular white people thing. They'll have a
That's
party and then they'll
horrible.
just have a
That's
platter with
disgusting.
Wait,
raw
wait,
ground beef.
say raw ground beef. And that's the same reason that they had that disease, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
That's
how
why
a
they
lot of
get
people
worms
get
and shit.
viruses and
yeah,
worms.
because
Yeah.
because it's like a steak, you cook the surface, it'll kill the E. coli bacteria. But when you grind it, you mix it in, so you have to cook it well done to kill the
Mm-hmm.
bacteria. But yeah, that's how it goes.
Yeah, when I saw that steak tartare, man, I didn't even try it. Somebody got a hot mic. Um yeah. I couldn't even try it because it was blood. It was fucking blood on the plate. God damn, I would have threw it up if I would have ate it.
See, they try to make people get a taste for eating flesh, certain types of flesh.
Right. But
Hey,
see, we're not acknowledging their original diets in some of these places, and they haven't let go of those things.
hey, you know how you take your bread and you sop up the gravy and eat your bread with the gravy?
Yes, they
They
sopped
do
up
it.
the blood.
Yep,
Yes.
they do it with their bread. That's why they have dinner rolls so they can get up that they can sop up that blood and bite up into it like that. Nasty motherfuckers.
I'm not gonna tell you what that bread looked like, but y'all can imagine. Shit looked like a band-aid, goddamn. Ugh.
I eat black. Talk black
I'm
to me.
hungry now.
I eat black.
I
Talk
lied.
black
I'm
to
really
Yeah,
me.
I just
hungry.
like a little bit of juice on my steak. I can't do all the white steak.
You got to watch overcooking food too because of carcinogens. You could get cancer
I've
and
heard
eating too
that.
much
No, we
stuff
Oh
on
can't
yeah,
do
the little
real
chars on
nothing.
them. Yep.
yeah.
I like barbecue.
Oh, I love barbecue.
We can't eat anything.
Oh, come to Memphis if you want some barbecue.
We
Ladies and
got a
gentlemen.
good spot called
But I
well,
gotta
I
say
got
this
two good
though.
spots, but I like
Char
Everson Jones and Jenny's.
I gotta say this though. Char is better for you though, because when you char it, it cooks all the bacteria and everything up off of it. See, when you cooking, when people like we call it searing, when you put it on a flat top or cook it in a pan, when you do that, it's still submerged in the fats and all the juices off of it. But when you grilling something like broiling it, everything falls. All the juices and everything falls from it. And plus you get that good sear to it to where you getting the real meat. You know what I'm saying? All my meat, I cook everything on the grill. Only way I will make sear some unless it requires it. But other than that, I either cook it in a grill or I bake it in the oven. I don't do nothing with grease unless if I do grease, I rub it down with oil already so that way it can have that crispy flavor. But I don't
Rub
do
it down with oil.
yeah, you rub like if you do your chicken,
Pause.
You
get your
sound
mind
like
out
my
the gutter.
son's mother.
Get your mind out the gutter, Wani.
It depends on if
She
I'm
you're
cook
doing it on an
oil.
trying.
open flame or not, because if it's done on an open flame, it can produce carcinogens, which are cancer causing. So it's just FYI.
Wow. That's
Even yeah, open flame grill, whatever. But to me, the best flavor comes from something grilled. When you grill it, you're gonna get the best flavor, and to me, it's more natural
Yeah,
because you're
it
cooking
is.
over
It's
an open
delicious.
flame. Yeah, you're cooking over an open flame. But like when you cooking like on a flat top or in a pan, it's still submerged in that fat. You know what I mean? And sometimes you still got to drain it. Like I say, if you cook some meat, you always got to pull it out and let it
What he
sit.
just
You know
oh
what I'm saying? You gotta let it sit so it can come together. Eat like when you make a meatloaf, or even like when you make a lasagna. If you bake it in the oven, it's still cooking, it's still expanding. But once you let it cool, it all comes together and it sits still. You know what I'm saying?
Well, I want to touch on one another theme in the movie without spoiling it. There's a theme in the movie that there are special people throughout history that can use their talents to communicate with the spirit realm. And the person in the in the movie that can do that is the a character that plays the guitar, and his talents. He has God given talents where he could communicate with the spirit realm. That's all I'm gonna say before I spoil it for y'all. But it was very powerful. I don't know if those of you who've seen the movie, when that person was playing at the club and his music transcended space time and people from all other.
professor.
Yes, sir.
I
Oh,
seen
so
that
you
part
saw it.
already.
So you saw it, huh?
Yeah.
You snitch, you snitching,
If you know,
professor.
you know.
No, I'm not telling too much because they don't know
That's
what
a
it's out of
that's a good
context.
Easter egg.
It's out of
That's a good
context.
Easter egg, bro.
And I'm not going to say too much. But what I am going to say is that really hit me, that really just touched my spirit in the movie because of my knowledge of history. It reminded me of something I learned years ago about uh, our brother Jimi Hendrix. Ladies and gentlemen, do y'all know that intelligence agencies got involved and got very interested in Jimi Hendrix? And there's a rumor that he was assassinated by those agencies.
Yes,
Well,
yes,
why did they get interested in Jimmy? According to Bobby Hemmett, Jimmy, when he went in his guitar riffs, he would transcend space time, and people at his concerts were having experiences that they were like out of body experience. They were transcending time, well, space time. And Jimi Hendrix got the attention of agencies initially because they thought that people were, they were giving people drugs or something, but it wasn't necessarily the drugs, it was his music. But I think if I was paying attention, I think I saw Jimi Hendrix in that crowd playing. But it was that man. That was such a the director did such a masterful job. Those little details. Jimi Hendrix was in there playing, man, and some people say that that's why he got assassinated because he was becoming too powerful with communication with the ancestors. There's a rumor that, and somebody help me out if you're real clear on the history with Jimmy, but didn't a white girl hang out with him that night and give him something? He choked on his vomit, right? Is that right? They gave him some.
Yeah,
that's
that's true.
correct.
They killed him, professor.
Yeah, if somebody knows, come to stage and correct me. But it was a white girl that was hanging out with him that night and gave him some hot dope, and wasn't he throwing up, and she made sure that he sat up so he could choke on his vomit.
Cyanide in the cocaine.
Wow.
Mm, mm, mm,
But
mm.
my point of bringing that up is Jimi Hendrix music was so powerful, it was raising our vibrations so high that allegedly, according to our brother Bobby Hemmett, the three-letter agencies took him out. Foundational Black Americans. This movie's deep, ladies and gentlemen.
They're saying the same thing similar about Bob Marley's death too, that he was taken out
Wow.
and he
And
really
they
didn't
tried to
Sam
realize
blame it
what
on
Cook
the
took him.
too.
shower posse.
Sam Cook too.
Oh, Sam Cooke was powerful.
That's very, very
Hey,
Yes.
true.
Professor. This is Mr. Freedom. How you
Oh,
doing?
what's up, Freedom? What you know?
Hey,
Hey, I
What's
have
up?
to beg your pardon to skip the line
Oh,
today.
go ahead.
Please, with your
Just this
permission.
once. Go ahead.
Okay, because I'm actually gonna reveal some things that you're not gonna hear anywhere else. All right. So
Come on with
I
it.
think y'all are ready for it. Okay. I've been posting down in the purple pill, but I'm gonna explain. So first of all, I beg your pardon again. I may be inartful, but please
Hold
just
on,
put
brother.
it
But
together.
before you start, ladies and gentlemen, would you share out the room? I think people need to hear this. Go ahead and share out the room. Go ahead, Freedom. Drop these hidden jewels.
All right. Okay. So let's start back from the beginning. We all were talking about the children of the corn. The corn actually relates to your it's a process where you're getting it relates to the pineal gland and relates to the ovaries and relates to actual corn and the agriculture. These were agrarian societies, but how that links to these there's beings that they genetically put their DNA into the food that you eat because that's the easiest way for you to process mixing the DNA. Okay, the secret that's sacred in secret societies is actually a secretion. It's a secretion, and these beings, um, in their primitive stage, thought that eating your enemy or eating someone who has high talents and skills and capabilities, especially from coming from a reptilian being, which that's what we're talking about. People that are mixed with reptiles, they um, they think that eating your flesh and drinking your blood is how they can assimilate and get your powers, but the secretion that is actually made is mentioned in the ceremony we do every December 25th, right? It's called Christmas, okay? And it's really talking about how on these plantations, what they really did was they would on, follow as they started to learn. They would follow the moon cycles, and they would drink the period blood of the female slaves. Okay, and I put in there, if you look in some of these books, the Encyclopedia of occult and magic, and I put some different books in there. But massa is actually is a contraction for a word that means vampire, literally. Massa, master. It,
Oh, I saw that.
did you? Okay.
Yeah.
Again, bear with me. I'm trying to condense a lot of things into. I hope you can piece it together. All right. But these also, when I'm talking about secretion, I'm being very specific and I'm tying it to the land, because in these cornfields, they would leave what they call it crop circles. So they would interfere with humans and try to influence them. They also use radiation, which causes mutations, and they would literally affect the food supply, which maize gods. We're all talking about South American stuff right here. I'm opening up a pantheon here from South America. That's the way to get into you through your again, like I said, the alimentarius canal, through your digestive system. You are what you eat. Okay, so then that's how they put themselves into you. Now other beings, they try to eat you to become you or drink your period blood. I also put the for the eastern stars, they work off of the lunar calendar. That's what the eastern star
Uh
is.
oh.
Okay, and
Oh shit,
that's
bro.
the period
Oh
blood.
shit.
No, see, I can do this. I'm a spook. I can talk about this stuff. I don't have a problem.
Oh man. No, bro, you finna
So don't y'all don't
just
get
don't do it.
scared. I can talk about this stuff. I'm able to do that. All right.
Me too.
Professor, that ID that I showed you, I have that. Remember the ID I showed you?
Yeah, I remember.
I have that. I'm a spook. All right. I'm able
Talk
to
to easy,
talk
man.
about these things. Okay. So it's the civilian version. But anyway, so don't worry about that. Very specifically, I want to read to you about where these, what these people do and what they are, as it relates to the Irish, right, and the Welsh, to be more specific. And it's very interesting. So these are these masses, these vampires that came over here. So they come as the IRS. It's a play on words. The Irish IRS. They steal your stuff, right? And they are concerned with wealth. They're not spiritual beings. That's why they do these things, these terrible, disgusting things to try to raise their selves up and ascend. And that's all they care about is money, and they control us with money. Wealth is a play on the word Welsh or Welsh, okay? And or they lock you up as the Scottish, right, and the Celts, all right? They will be. They will be all inside of your life to know your family and set you up to kill you. He is the devil, believe it or not, and cannot be anything else. No, you cannot reform the males. We're talking about these Caucasians, but they're females. As soon as you kiss them, genetic change as they are females, and each month females shapeshift when they ovulate. Again, that's ovaries, corn, pineal. It's all connected. All right. So on that moon cycle, there's a transformation that happens. It allows for an opportunity. It's like a window that opens up when you're trying to create another being, or you're trying to get a download, a solar wind,
Interesting.
the solar alignments that happens. It's all connected, right? So check this out. Um, I'm on the right page. Okay, so let's see. I'm reading from some choice information here. So you can lose your soul by these masters or vampires mixing in. So miscegenation, that's why they put pushing the cuckolding and the black and all that kind of stuff right now, because they finally figured it out. They finally figured it out that you don't have to eat and you don't have to drink blood, but that's what they used to do. Okay, they used to drink the period blood. Um, let's see, to try to get your genes, because blood is liquid memory.
If you know, you know.
Blood is liquid memory. Hold on, give me a second. Just give me a second, if you don't mind. I'm almost done. I'm gonna drive it home. So if you're a Negroid female with a Caucasoid male, because his genes are diseased with the curse of leprosy, and he is weak and wicked by nature, she gives up her soul and will transform into his queen, his black devil. Can she regain it? Yes, by exchanging bodily fluids with pure Negroid male at the same time of the month. Yes, Caucasian males know this. He used to have Negroid slave girls for his spirit to feed off of once a month. He would have oral sex with Negroid females while she was on her menses, ovulating on her menstruation, monthly exchanging bodily fluids, and is why he is called the dragon or vampire, bloodsucker. Okay? So they will kill your man at any chance they get to offer his soul and flesh and blood to their demon gods. All right, we're talking about um, the doggone or nomos or Draco, all these different, that's their gods. All right. I love what you was talking about with Twizzle with Sirius, B and A. Another name for it is Digitaria. And Sidious is also the zigzag. It talks about that interlocutory what do you call it, where they make a helical um, procession around each other, those two stars. Okay. That literally talks about these beings, these reptilians that are mixing in with humans. Um, think about it like this: the if you're in the water, these are reptilians. If you're in the water looking up, right? We know about seeing the sun walking on water, right? We know that's literally the horizon, the Horus horizon. We know that now, right? We should all know that. That's Jesus walking on water. If you're
Horse
in
on
the
the right.
water,
Yeah, horse right. Yeah.
if you're in the water, the suit, the spaceship that you need to walk on land and not be burned up by the sun because you have leprosy is a melanin suit. That's your spaceship, because you can't breathe air for a long period of time. You see what I'm saying? So we're the suit. That's our super suit. That's that. Well, to other people, we're a super suit. We're a spaceship to be able to walk on Earth and not be burned up by the sun.
Interesting.
You get what I'm saying? So Nomo can live in the water, and Nomo's seat is in the water. And name that he represents Neymar in Black Panther. Okay. The landing of Nomo on our Earth is called the Day of the Fish. Okay, that's the Cancer Catholic Church, and the planet he came from is Sirius system, which is known as the pure Earth of the Day of the Fish. It happens every 60 years. That's celebrated, and he manifests himself in the rainbow, which is called the Path of the Nomo. Now, soon they're going to introduce what's called Noahide. Noahide, the unified Christian, Islamic, and the rabbinical or the Jewish, it's all going to link together, and they're going to enforce globally Noahide laws. All right, as masonry. But this is the bloodline of the reptilian devil himself. Okay, it's going to rule with a with a rainbow. All right, he's the guardian of the spiritual principles of living creatures on Earth. There are three distinct kinds of Nomo, each personified as an individual. There's a Nomo that's a messenger, deputy, and he executes the greater works. Uh, there's one that comes in a spaceship that, let's see, that are of that class, and the third is represented by sacrifice and purification and reorganization. All
Well,
right.
I want to piggyback off what you said of members of the dominant society getting a high or getting some type of gratification with blood. And I'm gonna
Mm-hmm.
go to quickly go to Frederick Douglass's diary. I urge all y'all to buy it because it's cheap. You can get it for like $4. It's the name of it is Narrative of the Life of Frederick Douglass, an American Slave. On page 24, and this is kind of graphic, but I don't know how Frederick got through what he got through. Sometimes it makes me not want to complain, but Frederick was talking about his aunt who was in the on the same plantation as him, and the overseer, like Dr. Howard Zinn said, was named Mr. Severe. Frederick Douglass says, quote, Mr. Severe was rightly named. He was a cruel man. I have seen him whip a woman, causing blood to run half an hour at a time. And this, too, in the midst of her crying children, pleading for their mother's release. He seemed to take pleasure in manifesting the fiendish barbarity. Added to his cruelty, he was a profane swearer, enough to chill the blood and stiffen the hair of the ordinary man to hear him talk. This dude tied up his aunt in front of her kids and got pleasure in beating her so bad that blood was squirting everywhere. And he would do it until the kids screamed. He got a high off that. What type of person is that? Is it a person?
No,
No, they
it's
seem
an
to be
energy
taken
sucker.
It's a
over by something
psychopath.
evil.
It's
They're
a
taken over by something evil.
it's a reptilian, bro. Energy suckers.
Man, I get pleasure
Well,
off
they
of
just
eating
had the
ice
power to
cream.
do it until we put a bullet to their head, metaphorically speaking. But yeah,
And can I tell you why? I can tell you why what they teach in the mystery schools. I'll be real quick, and I'm gonna tie this all up, and I'm done. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Because they don't fucking feel anything. They don't have a soul. They don't have a soul, so they have to go to extremes just to even feel like they're alive. They're
That,
of the
that's
death.
that
Yes.
right there, freedom is very interesting. I know a psychiatrist, let's put it that way. And this psychiatrist explained to me that psychopaths, a sociopath is somebody who's made to kill, like certain elite military organizations can train a normal person to be a sociopath, but a psychopath, that's in your DNA to be that way. Anyway, long story short, this psychiatrist explained to me that psychopaths are very dangerous. They kill, they do extreme things, like, because just like Mr. Freedom said, they can't feel anything. And the more dramatic the situation, like for instance what Douglass just said about his aunt being tied up in front of in front of the fucking kids, y'all, and beat till she was squirting blood everywhere, it allowed him to feel something.
One of the things that they did, because I looked at all, I have to, when something happened major, normally the truth is the first thing that you hear, and then the disinformation or the counter information campaign goes into effect. So I grabbed a lot of information. One of the things I saw was an interview from somebody who was being solicited by Epstein. He said Epstein was trying to tell him, hey, this is why you want to do this, because it's the greatest feeling in the world of doing something that is, is wrong. To them, they get the most exhilaration. It's almost like the greatest uh, orgasm you've ever had for them when they're doing something wrong, when they're killing a child, where they're doing something inappropriate with a child. You know, I don't want to get too
Taboo.
That's when that's how they feel. That's
Wow.
how they feel things. They're cold blooded. You see what I'm saying?
Mm.
Just RNA, reptile. You see, I'm sorry, I'm not trying to yell, but I just wanted to get this across. But last but not least, look into the jumbotron. So now they finally figured it out, and you know we're going to what needed to be done is already done. I never talk about that, but we're gonna win in the end. But they're trying to counteract and get into our super suit, right, so that they can have domain on the land. There's inner Earth, there's outer space, obviously, and there's inner waters. Okay, outer space is just the etheric form of water. We're in the air, or the atmospheric form of water, and then the ice is a solid state of water. Water is the liquid state of water. It's all water.
Firmament in the
Okay,
dome.
it's a wave. Okay, so or move the primordial waters. All right. So this is now they finally figured it out. So now they're pushing miscegenation. They're pushing cuckolding. So all of a sudden they want the men. They want the phallus. Right. They want the black man. Just all of a sudden just switch after Obama. It's like we're in the commercials. Everybody's having sex, mixing, and they want the man sperm. What they want is manna from heaven. That's created in what we do every 25th of December. It is a ceremony relative to our body. Remember, I told you in previous
Yeah,
spaces, I
Dick
said
Gregory
it's
said this before.
in secret, they worship us in the secret societies. I know this. Okay, now they got it fucked up in the Freemasonry and Eastern Star, where they have us worshiping them and the white man's. But hey, it is what it is. I can tell the truth. And Eastern Stars, they have Eastern Stars worshiping white man's sperm and image. Okay,
Wow.
yes, it's inverse. Now, Santa Claus or Natas, with two A's, is the Nataas. When you see two A's in a word, that's an action. It's a verb. It's not a pronoun. All right. Um, but Santa comes back up your chimney of your spine, and he leaves different presents, which come in the form of spiritual gifts and elevate consciousness. Santa Claus brings his gifts when the Christ Mass is celebrated. Now, what does that mean? We're talking about the medical symbol of either one or two serpents going up a staff, right? A wing staff. Your mind is at the top, and your vertebrae, your 33 degrees there, your Jacob's ladder is going up there. But what we're talking about is sacral. See, I talk about the secretion, secret, and the sacral fluids. That's the sacred part. So that's rebirth. What happens is the manna from heaven is created in an area of your brain called the claustrum. That's a play on the word Santa Claus, the claustrum of your brain. All right. And so what happens is Joseph, the pineal gland, Joseph secretes the milk, manna from heaven, and the pituitary, Mary, she secretes the honey. Okay. Both from the same source, the claustrum of the brain, and this goes down your cervical spine, and it gets electrified. When you have an orgasm, right? Now women have them in their lower chakra, and men have them in their crown seat chakra. Okay, and that fluid goes down. I'm not going to read all of the whole thing, but it makes a circular pattern, and it basically there's a resting period, and then it ascends back up your cervical spine. Okay, it is everlasting life, and you get to create. Your cup runneth over. You get to create boundless, infinite life through that. That's as above, so below. That's what the crucifixion represents. But these sick motherfuckers took our supreme mathematics and recreating the image of God, which is our bodies, and the calculation of man. 666 is not bad in that sense when you know what it is, but it can be used in a negative sense when you take all of these earth and mountain structures, which is just the supreme mathematics of man, and placing it on the earth and knowing where you are on the earth, the body of the earth, you can literally open up and be able to create again. You can literally create. And that's why I put abracadabra in there. You just create from your speech when you know how to use that. Okay. But the crucifixion they get from the crux constellation lining up on December, and they want to try to get the solar winds from those stars, and they want to try to enter into our body, and in the Luciferian phase or the primitive phase, they thought they could just take us up to um, our temples, right, our solar man's temples, and cut off our heads, eat our brains, and drink our blood and all that kind of stuff, and then they would regain power. But now they're realizing that they need to they need to get the manna from heaven and the milk and honey with the divinity, that electricity that you get, okay, the unified field when you're having sex. And not them, because they're deformed and degenerate. I'm talking about when we have sex, we create a supreme being. So now they all of a sudden they want to mix in. They finally figured it out. They want to mix in as much as humanly possible so they can survive the sun cycle because it's a radiation field, and they cannot make the transition. They cannot make the transition unless they're in our suit.
Wow.
All right.
That's deep, bro. That's deep. And what that may have sound wild what he said, but everything he said was confirmed by other scholars. Dick Gregory said that what he said about Santa Claus, and it's a gift on the 25th of December, where the gifts come from your brain. And Bobby Hemmett said what he said about, I think Bobby Hemmett was a Mason. Bobby Hemmett said that the secret, and when you get high up in that, I'm not in that organization, but according to Bobby Hemmett, he said when you make it real high up in that organization, they bring out a black man who's blindfolded and say, "This is your father. You must never let him rise again." Very interesting, Freedom. Very interesting. I forgot who was next. Nikki Wani, who was next? Was it
I don't know.
Kind of got a
It
little
was me.
confusing.
Miss
It
Stacy.
I
Go
was
ahead,
supposed.
Stacy. Sure was. You've been waiting a while. Go ahead.
Yeah, I've been trying to be practice my patience. I don't know how I follow Mr. Freedom. How do I follow that, dude? I was like mind
Yeah,
blowing.
he got some deep shit.
Um, I know, right? So I'm not gonna talk about pizza. Um, as far as the whole red meat thingy, I do like a good steak. I think I do agree with the way Twizzle says to prepare it. So um, and one, I want to say one thing about what Wani mentioned. I'm saying this first so I don't forget. Um, the whole, talking about when you guys earlier were talking about how um, eating people and the blood and all that. And the thing is they make movies about that stuff, and so that they still do it. There's recently I saw something where I think I don't know if it was a few months ago or sometime last year, and I don't even know if it's still on one of these streaming sites. But there's some movie about I guess I don't know if they go. I think they go to an island or somewhere, and I don't know if people didn't know, and they find out later that this guy is like um serving people to eat people.
They have thousands of
I
movies
can't
like that.
Right. So I'm like, they're always making movies like that. So you know that this stuff's got to be still going on. They don't have no imagination. This stuff doesn't come out of thin air. This is something that's going on. So of course they're making movies about it, and then they think it's like in plain sight. So people are thinking, "Oh, that's so ridiculous. People can't be doing that." But obviously they are, and they think that no one's going to believe it. So they're allowed to put it. So of course they're going to put it out there because it just looks fascinating. As far as psychopaths or sociopaths, I watch a lot of documentaries. Recently I've been watching that Evil, I think it's Evil Lives Here or something like that. And you see the things these
Oh
kids
my
are
God.
doing, right? And they're so matter of fact, like, oh yeah, it's here, oh yeah, I did it, I just like the justification for it, it's just ridiculous. And you look at them like, yeah, these people are sick. And then when they show their picture, you look and it's just nothing behind the eyes, nothing. And these people don't care. They're killing their families. And I'm like, oh my God. So now over to the do sinners use vampires as a metaphor? Absolutely. When I saw this, that's exactly what I said. Before I went to see it, I listened to Tariq Space when he went over the movie. I listened to oh gosh, I forgot. Um uh Black was it Black not Black Alpha Network, the other Alpha. But anyways, I listened to a couple others people. It's a lot of people doing reviews on the movie and coming up with little nuggets, finding little things, little so quote unquote Easter eggs that they're talking about. I watched another one today. But one of the things I wanted to say is I remember when I guess there were like Hispanic people were coming out going why, wondering why they weren't represented in the movie. And but here's the thing. The one thing I did see, which I didn't understand why that was in there, and I was like, there's got to be a significance somewhere. Those who you who's watch it, I don't think this is a spoiler because it's in the beginning of the movie, and it just, you just see it. But there's a tamale. There's a store, and it says tamales on it. So I was like, is that why Mexicans or Hispanic people are mad? But then when Mr. Freedom mentioned about the corn, and I thought maize, corn, tamales, maybe that has something to do with it in there
It's
somewhere. I don't
ovaries
know.
in the pineal. Ovaries in
What
the
what
pineal.
well, I'll tell you,
Right.
according to history, Miss Stacy,
No.
the whole maize and tamale that came from the Native Americans. A lot of
Okay.
the
Okay.
Yeah, that one did.
Hispanics take credit for it, and if you remember, there was a Native American scene in the movie.
Gotcha. Oh yeah, absolutely. And then you know what's so funny too that I noticed when they showed those the Native Americans there, there was one that was super black. I was like, oh, that's a dark one right there. So I love how that's why I love this movie so much. There's so many nuggets in there. And then when he mentioned about the serpent, and that in the beginning, of course, there were when they're getting that the liquor, and you see that snake and the way he killed that snake, and that was interesting too. So all these things that are tying in with this movie, it's just like I'm going to see it again. I gotta go see it again. I keep telling people about it. I'm like, hey, have you seen it yet?
I got
I
to see
made
it
sure I
two
told
more
my
times.
son. Yes, I want to see it again. I know what was it housing was talking about he was watching it. The reason I went to the theater is because I want to support this brother. I'm like, as much as possible, we need to see this movie. We all need to see it and really just study it. And because and like when you talked about the scene about him playing the music and how all that, he goes, it's everything comes up from the past, even into what our future music was like. I mean, I'm just like, wow, that
Let me
scene,
ask you
it
a
did
side
something to
question.
me. That scene
If-
did something to me. I'm sorry, Wani. I know you haven't
Let
seen it
me
yet. Go ahead.
no
I ain't gonna say
no
nothing else about that
no.
part.
You can say it. Nothing ruins movies for me at all
You're
because
like
I
me. You
just
can
like
tell
to
me a
watch
whole
them.
movie. I'll still go
Yeah,
see it just because
that makes me either want to see it or
it
not
makes
see
me
it. It
want,
doesn't
yep.
matter.
Now, I'm that way
Seeing it is
too. I'm
seeing
that
it.
way. I'm like, give me the spoilers. I don't care. Because
Yeah, I
now when
don't
I see
care.
it, I can go, oh, that's what they were talking about. I get
Yeah,
excited.
it doesn't bother me at all, but it does bother some people because I see them screaming in the comments, not here, but in like if
Hmm.
someone's talking about a movie on an article. But I wanted to ask a side question.
Hmm.
How much was the popcorn when you went to the theater?
Girl, I bought
Outrageous.
$35,
I'm a, I, no, you know
$72,
what? I'm not gonna lie. I don't even know.
$192,
I pulled out my I bought a medium. No, no, no,
medium
no,
what?
no. I actually bought a small because I bought a small
Did you get
popcorn because I
butter
knew
on
I
it,
wasn't gonna eat them.
Stacy?
And I ate on
Yeah,
that
one
popcorn for
kernel
three
of corn.
days.
Did you put extra butter on it,
Yes, I
Stacy?
did. Yes, I
Take
did.
all of their
Yes, I did,
products.
Nikki. I said I need extra butter. He was like, butter. I said, extra, please.
Get your money's worth. If you're gonna pay
Did.
$35 for one kernel of
I
corn, you
didn't
gotta
pay
be
that
glad.
much. I think I paid a little less
But
than
I like
$20, and I bought a
exaggerating.
popcorn, a slushy, and some red vines and some little nerdy
Oh,
candies.
you went all the way
Ooh,
into
she
Candyland.
enjoyed herself.
I
She
did.
went over there where we were 10 years old eating like that.
I didn't even eat it all. I had that stuff in my pocket. All I
Did
ate
you
was
say
my
licorice?
was the popcorn. I took the rest of the stuff home. I gotta
Now,
go home with some candy.
now
I
name
gotta
the
go
rest
with
of the
some
candy you ate over there. You said something about some
Stacy remind me
licorice.
of my sister, man. My sister, she will order some pop. She will go to the mall just to buy the popcorn at the movie theater, and then just take it home. And my cousin is like that too. She just gotta have some popcorn.
I
I
had
don't
to
know what it
bring the
is.
stuff
We
home.
spent like
I,
$100 at the movies last night. Just yeah.
I
Just on
ooh,
the
believe you,
popcorn.
Professor.
what you
How
do?
much
Take
you
the whole
spend,
family?
Stacy?
Huh?
No,
No,
that's just for the drinks.
What you say, Miss Nikki?
How much you spend at the movies?
Um, when I bought that, I think it was less than $20. Actually did
Oh,
Oh,
good.
okay.
really?
I
For
was shocked. It was
licorice?
less than $20. It wasn't that much.
Atlanta
But
expensive as hell.
Oh,
the movie itself, I paid it was like $16 and some change.
Now, if you brought a
it's, I
big
don't know. It
tote
just seemed
bag,
like it. I don't really spend much of nothing, but for tickets on food, I don't. For some reason, my food just come out to zero when I carry a certain, bag with me. I
a
don't know
tote
why that
bag with
is.
Oh,
popcorn and stuff in it,
I used to
and
smuggle
soda
food in
and
there.
drink.
Man, I remember my ex. We used to go in the movies, and I had this one special bag that had like a flat bottom, and we would stop. He would always get chicken. He would go to Popeyes get chicken, put it in his pockets because he would wear baggy
Chicken in your
jeans,
pockets?
and put the things like wrap it up in the bag, and he'd have it in his
No, I've
pocket,
never heard of
and then
chickens in
he
your
would give
pockets.
me and we would go get a Jamba Juice and get two large smoothies, and I'd put them in my purse and had them smoothies sitting up
Let's
in my
delve
bag, and
into
we sit there
this.
eating some fried chicken and some smoothies,
Now, you
which
had smoothies in your purse. He
which
had
I
chicken
sure
in his
did.
pockets.
I sure
What in the hell?
well, now you can go to the movies and order food, and they'll bring it to you, but that stuff don't even be good. I'm like, man, by the time it get to you, be like, what the hell, y'all just give me some microwave shit? Sorry,
Like
excuse
Uber
my
Eats
language.
or something?
That's
So I don't even
hilarious.
do that one no more. I just need as long as look when I go to the movie, as long as I can get in them recliner chairs, kick back, and eat my extra butter popcorn and my slushy, or sometimes I might get a liquor, one of the a margarita or something like that.
You can
And
get drunk there? Wow.
no, but they serve liquor. I don't. I only have
At the
one, so
movies?
I don't be drunk. Yeah.
What are they doing over there at
Why
the
don't you
movies?
come out here and visit Sacramento? I'm gonna
We
take you to
don't
the
have
theater
these
up here.
psychopaths.
Take you
We
I
don't
actually
You
have
got
been
to
to
go
this
to a
type of
movie
Sacramento
theater.
capital,
before.
Wani. Wani, you got to go
Nikki,
to a
you been to
movie
I'll
Sacramento
be
capital.
before?
getting drunk, smuggling
Yes,
chicken
I
in the
have.
pockets.
Oh yeah,
I
you
do
said you
not
didn't like
understand it.
Sacramento though, huh?
I didn't like it, but hey, if I probably would like it now. That was years ago,
Oh
Stacy.
yeah, if you ever came, come visit, girl. I'll show you
Oh,
around.
I've never
We'll
been.
take you to
absolutely.
I'll take you to
If you
OSAC.
ever get up to the Midwest, come to Milwaukee or meet me down in Chicago.
I will meet you. I'll probably meet you in Chicago. I have never been to Chi-Town. I always wanted to go. Have never been. I'm gonna have to try one of them deep dish pizzas, but like not a lot, just like a small slice, because I do like the thick crust, but I don't want. I'm already big back. I don't need extra.
Yeah, but you get a
I
lot of
don't want a
walking
third
off the
ass.
inside. So
Right. They want us
Okay,
to
that'll
have
be
four or
good.
five butts over here. They are not right.
414. Did I hear somebody from the 414 in here too?
I don't know. I'm for the 916.
yes, I'm in Milwaukee.
414 in the house. Okay,
Oh
414.
my
Yeah.
God.
Yeah,
Who
no
that is?
doubt.
Yeah,
Who
All
that
right,
It's
ladies.
rare.
is?
It's rare that
it's
Milwaukeeans run into
Milltown.
each other in online spaces. So 414 in the house. Yeah.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, it's getting
Yeah.
kind of late. We're gonna get a couple more speakers. Hampton, go ahead.
I saw well first peace Professor Allen, peace Nikki the God, peace Wani, peace to the family. I wanted to touch base on the topic itself, which is does sinners use vampires as a metaphor for the dominant society? Absolutely, and I'm sure Sister Stace, who she's here in Milwaukee as well, she's probably seen it, but I've mentioned this before in the space. They have this obsession with cannibalism, right? They have this obsession with eating flesh. They have this obsession with blood. They like their steaks medium rare or super super bloody, even though we know it's not blood. But they like their steaks bloody. They like it to emulate blood. They like to kind of do that. But up here they have something called a cannibal sandwich.
Okay, it's called a cannibal sandwich. And if y'all look this up, brothers and sisters,
Told you.
the cannibal sandwich is them essentially is raw meat. It's just raw ground beef on top of a cracker with some onions, and it comes from yep, yep, and it comes from a yep, and it comes from a German dish called Met, which was them eating raw pork, okay, with onions on top of it. So
How did
they
they not die though? Aren't we supposed to be cooking these things?
That's a Guani. That's a good question, and the answer is, you know, the answer. The answer is our bodies are different, which
Yes,
fields of
Professor.
medicine don't
But they're the
acknowledge.
ones whining about parasites running around in their brain cells and dying over it. Like,
But
what?
Wani, they were grafted from pigs and jackal dogs, along with cats, rats, and dogs. Yeah, they were grafted from those
Jackals,
beings.
you say jackals?
Hell,
Remember that omen? They went to this Etruscan graveyard and a jackal was in the coffin. I'm
Wow.
very
Real
suspicious of
shit.
jackals right now. Well, I've been suspicious since the omen.
Well, the interesting thing about a jackal, I think if you look at Set Typhon, who was associated with Satan, isn't his head a jackal? But I'm gonna leave that alone.
The jackal represents the tongue, eating the menstrual blood.
Oh Lord, not that again.
hell.
Yeah, that's hard to hear.
Oh God.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, we're gonna get a couple more speakers. But before that, Seven had a comment. Go ahead, Seven.
Oh, yeah, thanks. I've seen the movie. I didn't go to the theaters to see it, but something I thought we would touch on tonight that I think being on vampires. Uh, what about the Adrenochrome conspiracy? Don't I think they were trying to hint at that in the movie.
Manna from heaven. So the secretion, the secret is what comes from that colostrum area of the brain. When you have a orgasm, okay, you
Man, what are
get.
you talking about?
Are you serious? I mean, do you want to answer or not?
Okay, well then, what is the
He's
Adrenochrome
shy.
conspiracy theory?
He's shy. He doesn't want to talk about that
That's.
type of thing.
I mean, you brought it up. I mean, they're literally talking about. Okay, in the let's talk about witches and warlocks. They don't call it magic. They call it ormus. Ormus. They take minerals and secretions and they turn them into powders. Okay, especially once they were electrified after having a sex magic ritual. Ormus, Ormus. That's real alchemy and magic. And the manna from heaven is created from after having a sexual intercourse and releasing the semen and drying it out to powder. Okay, that is manna from heaven, and is used for all kinds of healing rituals and things like that. The sacral fluids is the white secretion from the inner sanctum of the woman when they're having the um, copulation or whatever. That's the sacral fluids or sacred. Okay, that's it's used with the pineal gland, okay, in conjunction with the pineal gland in that colostrum area. That's adrenochrome. That for these beings that are like the walking dead, that are like vampires, literally they need those fluids, those sacred oils and secretions and things like that for them to even feel alive.
Mr.
And
Freedom, I don't mean to interrupt you, but real quick, I keep hearing colostrum, 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 right? And I just want to see if this also ties into anything because like that's what I breastfed my son, and they
Mm-hmm.
would say the colostrum before the milk comes down.
I love that you connect, and the women, y'all are the sacred temple, um the holy, the holy temple. It's the holes of the body. Okay, um so you're making the connection, but that's where the stem cells and all of the sacred secretions and fluids, again, those are white. The milk is white, the sperm is white, the sacral fluid is white. Okay, that's manna.
And
Colostrum
like
is
that
yellow.
whole what's
Colostrum
that
is yellow.
Yeah, and then the placenta, right? Isn't that something too?
Yeah, it
Yeah,
has
that they've turned that into powder as well.
Why do we
And
need
exactly.
to
pills
eat that
does it.
again?
It's called white powder gold. It has everything that's needed to regenerate a human body, and to facilitate a healthy human. But they need to steal those secretions away from us to be able to even feel whole, because they're not full human beings. Straight up.
Wow. Man, I'm learning so much, but it's getting a little late. We're gonna get a couple more speakers. And
I have a question.
go, go ahead.
Do cannibalists, vampires use Uber Eats to order people food?
Unfortunately, yes. And there's a song called I think it's "Drug Dealers Anonymous," where Jay Z talks about that. um, you gotta listen to these songs, man. Listen to the lyrics of the song. He talks about putting a hit out on somebody, using Uber, and white vans. Remember that thing? Damn, Daniel, look at them white vans, yo. I mean, I've actually, I've seen those white vans before. We're talking about three-letter agencies. They use white vans.
I seen in Memphis they used to show up. Like we had some little girls go missing, and it was a period, maybe 2015, where little girls would go missing in the black neighborhoods, and it was a white van coming around. I saw it too. Hmm.
My son actually told me he gets paranoid when he sees white vans. He says every time even growing up when he was younger, he told me as he got older, he goes, "Mom, when I used to see white vans, I would always cross the street."
Yeah, I when I was a trucker, I was in Nevada, I believe. I don't like big sky country for some of those reasons, but I was going down the road and there was three vans in a row, and none of them had a license plate on them. And it was just on the dark, empty road, like 3 hours before you even saw another light from another city. There was not even any lights on that highway. That's how desolate it was. But you see stuff like that out there. Yeah. But you listen to the lyrics of the songs, yeah, these people know the stuff. But I'm in that spook world, on the positive side of it. On the positive side, you can think what you want, but I'm on the positive side of it, and that's why I'm able to talk about it.
So, do all these things that people are doing, does any of that work really?
Oh, you talking about the on the negative, like the spirit cooking and the Marina Abramovich and
Mm,
all that? Um,
all the sex magic and the licking
to some
things,
extent,
does any of
yes.
that?
Because it's a cycle. It's a cycle. And the primitive cycle, it works when you're outside of that radiation field that lasts for 6,000 years. Um, this is the Goldilocks zone, or the golden. You always talk about the Goldilocks zone, golden ratio. It's a radiation field where you're able to ascend and get your mutant powers and all this kind of stuff. So but when you're in the Lucifer, or the primitive cycle, then all that stuff works. On the opposite side, unfortunately, it's balance, it's polarity. It is what it is, but um it's not as powerful. I don't think it's as powerful, because I grew up doing rituals and things where I seen like real when it was thousands of people with we didn't do stuff in dark buildings and stuff like that. We did stuff out in the open during the daytime, and you literally saw nature respond to what we did in real time. I mean, I know people right now who they're able to do rituals and things like that, and look, these the people you think are scary will run away from you if you really know what you're doing. So I mean, you don't have to be afraid of the other side. It's just you know, um, they can try as much as they want to, but they're never gonna win. I'll just say that.
Freedom. How much longer do we have in that until that 6,000 year period is up and the tables turn? When's the deadline coming?
Nobody knows the exact day. I'll never be have hubris enough to say that. But I do know that they try to get extensions for the lack of knowledge that we have. That's how we're destroyed. And the more knowledge that we have, we're able to ascend, and their extensions. So just like you talked about it earlier, if we don't mix in with them, Like you said, David Banner said, or you was talking about our elder Bobby Hemmett, or these elders that keep saying it. That's the message to the black man. And it's go and as much as you might not want to hear it, this it's happening with black women too. Don't mix in with them, and then you can receive your covenant again. The covenant won't pass to the Hindus like they're trying to do now, because different races receive the covenant of God if you follow the laws. And these are in the Tanakh or the Torah. Um, but if you don't follow the laws, and you especially you mix in with these devils, these beings, these vampires, will you give away your divinity? You allow them into your suit and allow them to occupy on the face of the earth. They need our suit to be able to be here without all the diseases. Look up these people. They have diseases and they can't help but mix with animals and they get diseases from that. They have horrible stuff. They need our suit. We're the ship.
The whole world has to be vaccinated as a result of their diseases.
You
The whole world.
fish are being vaccinated. The food is being vaccinated. They're doing
What?
everything they can. They're blocking out the
Fish?
sun. They're making robots. They're doing
They are
everything
blocking
they
out the sun.
can. They're doing everything they can, and they're not going to win. They're not going to win.
Wow, that's deep as hell, freedom. Um, yeah, yeah, yeah. I'm gonna text you later on. I got some questions. I got some deep questions for you, bro. So just be looking for a text from me. It's getting late, ladies and gentlemen. We're gonna get a couple more people see who hadn't spoke. David, you've been up here for a while. David, Mark Anthony, David, go ahead.
Yes, sir. How y'all doing tonight?
Doing well.
Yeah, I really appreciate this space. So this has been well, all your spaces are good, but this one has been really really good. So we went and seen the movie last night, and I'm down here in Mississippi, and when I was watching the movie, I was thinking about the brother Ryan Coogler, and I remember that he said he had like some lineage tied to the state, and I thought about how bad they treated foundational Black Americans during the slave era and, afterwards. But particularly in Mississippi, when I used to live in Texas, I would tell people, yeah, I'm from Mississippi. I'm going to go visit home. And they were like, a look would come across their face. And it was like a look of damnation. Like, don't go there, just stay here. And I kind of wondered, why they put that dark shadow over the state and or over this land. And then when I was watching the movie, I thought about that brother was able to tap into something real, real deep. And it's something about this area, the scene that you were describing about the music and how it went from, generation to generation. Man, all of that stemmed, from the blues, from the suffering out of the South, period.
Yep.
Yeah, and I was thinking about the magic that you were talking about. That was in the book of it was the book of Enoch, right? That you were talking about earlier when you
Yeah.
said that. Yeah. So I was thinking about I had read something in the Quran in the past. It talked about two angels that had taught the people magic, and then like what brother was touching on about their last ditch effort was to get the white woman sickest white woman on us, as the Honorable Elijah Muhammad had said in one of those books. I can't remember which one it was, but yeah, this has been real deep, and it's something about this land here in Mississippi. That brother really touched on some stuff. And lastly, I remember there was a space maybe about 2 months ago. I was listening to you speak, and you talked about Hanks. You do you remember
Yep.
that when
Yeah.
you brought that up?
Yeah, I've been attacked by a Hank before. Like that's my you talking about my that's my shit. Like we used to laugh at it.
Right.
My aunt and my grandmama and them were talking about Hank gonna get you, and that used to happen to me at night. So that Hank stuff, you laugh at it if you want. That shit is real. We call Hanks now skinwalkers. But
Mm-hmm.
the one thing I want to say about that, I teach Gen Z, and I'm finding out something very unfortunate amongst foundational Black American children now. I'm a early I'm a what am I, millennial, or early millennial, and we were taught that stuff, but I'm finding out that we're not teaching our kids about all that stuff, and we need to be teaching our kids about that stuff our grandmama and them taught us, because it's
Right.
real.
Yeah, it's real. And I remember my grandfather used to always talk about that. And just one last thing. The brother was mentioning about the mathematics that we once knew. I remember Elijah Muhammad saying that there was 59,999 books, other books of mathematics that we haven't even seen. And do you all remember the two sisters in New Orleans that cracked the code of pi? How they have always told us that it couldn't be solved.
Yep.
Yeah. So
Those
they
books those books were stolen out of the library, and the motherfucker named the library after himself by Alexander the Great. It's called the Library of
right,
Alexandria. So they were stolen. And I think
right.
dominant society is using that mathematics against us. I think that's
I believe that. I believe that. I totally agree. I believe if we were able to tap back into that, there was a lot of things that we can solve about our situation and even about the planet if we just had those mathematics. But those two young sisters, I believe they started something, and it's starting to come up through our DNA that we're starting to do things that they thought that they stopped us from doing, but it's coming back up through the youth. I
yep.
land my plane. Thank you.
Oh yeah, that's very
You know what I want to say real quick?
okay.
That I believe that too, because you know how people always say that, oh, they always try to give credit for the pyramids to like aliens or something, and they say
Right.
they can't be recreated. So apparently, I'm like, oh shoot, then that must be what's in them books
Right.
because they can be done, but they're keeping it from us. And if we had that, we would. I don't know. I'm just,
Actually,
I'm just thinking about
it's in
that.
our bodies. It's in our
Right.
bodies.
I believe that.
Wow.
It's like
Yeah.
when they talk about the spacecraft landing, right? And then it only activated when the body was connected to, like they're symbiote. They go together. So they try to look through it through the books. They try to look on the walls. It's in our bodies.
Mm.
We activate it. We're the all star. You know what I'm saying?
Freedom,
Oh
you
wow.
you
Okay.
said something real deep, and that Malachi Z. York, Dr. York used to talk about. And we don't have time for me to go through that, but it's different cycles, and he was saying basically what you said about the Indians, the Hindus, like that was real deep. What you said, they're trying to put them in line to receive that anointment. That's very
It's
interesting.
the four solar winds that are sequestered away in different caves, and the knowledge comes out at different time periods based upon the celestial procession. I posted a video some like last year about that. And you know, it look a lot of stuff is happening. There's a reason why Trump uses a red hat. It actually represents the womb. You know, the original people. It's a red hat that Moors wear. There's a lot of stuff going on right now, but the main thing that we got to do, and y'all are doing it now, and the focus on it through stuff like what Kugler is doing with the music is so important. I sent you an email earlier about music, why they took out um, Michael Jackson, but the music is how they control us. They're either trying to get into technology, like that movie Lucy. They're trying to get into a robotic suit, or they're trying to get into us. They or they're trying to get the hell up out of here, or anything else,
Go to Mars.
anything to survive.
They can't go to Mars. Why do they keep saying that on every show?
Let
Energy,
them go, Wani. Let them
energy
go.
wise, not
I
not the
mean, they
physical
can.
body, but they can.
Okay, somebody tell me something because
No,
it
it's an
it has
energy.
30% of the gravity. You can't breathe. So why are they
Terrence
hyper
Howard.
focused on it?
I really wish Terrence didn't say. It's the age of Aquarius. That the scimitar is being removed from the womb, so the knowledge is flowing. But I wish Terrence. He pretty much told him like you can't get out. You know what I mean? They're gonna try. They don't. It doesn't matter how many books they take. They can't. They don't have what's in our body to be able to operate any of that knowledge. You get what I'm saying?
Why do they do that? I mean, like they'll have a whole show on ancient aliens, which I really like ancient aliens, but they are on some BS sometimes. I mean, seriously, come on.
Yeah.
How are they going to go to Mars? They have to live in a biodome. There's no food. What kind of snacks you going to eat, huh? They'll be crying to get on a spaceship to get the hell
It
up
was
out of there.
terraformed at one point, but you have to have a different suit, and there's a different pressure condition. There's a different like that
They'll be floating around with it.
you have to have an inner
Are they
sun
serious?
core.
They act like we're just gonna go up there and build condos. We're gonna stick a flag in it and start. No, you're not gonna stick
Let
a
them
flag
do
in it.
it.
You
Just let
see
them
that?
go.
Same thing with that submarine situation.
Yeah, it's like the cosmos has to shine down. That's why I changed my profile to the solar alignment that happened. The God literally, I'm talking about the cosmos, has to shine down on your solar system as a water planet for it to be a womb of germination for human plants to be able to terraform and grow there. They're trying to force shit. They can't do it. They can't do it. They can't do it.
That's their nature is for us. All right, we're gonna get a couple more people, and we're gonna call it night. It's getting late. I think Mark Anthony's been up here a while. We'll go to Mark Anthony, little brother, and then last speaker will be MLG. Go ahead, Mark.
Yeah, how you doing this evening, brother Allen,
Doing
sister
well.
Nikki, sister Wani? That's good. Um, I haven't seen the movie yet, but eventually I am. But from what I hear, it sounds like a lot of the stuff because y'all was talking about like the vampires and stuff. It sounds like a lot of the stuff that Tariq was talking about in Hidden Colors 5, I think, when he was talking about like how they like to eat raw meat, and then how the Dracula, inspiration was from Vlad the Impaler. I think that's his name.
Hmm.
And that's how I, learned, okay, that's where the Dracula concept comes from, and why they like to eat flesh. And also, with this movie coming out, I could see the influence of the grassroots, like, with, let me see, how should I put this?
The wording.
Like, with not Hollywood overall, but Black Hollywood. Like the grassroots are starting to have a little bit of influence on Black Hollywood. You know, particularly from what I hear from this movie, and because some of the white people kind of crashing out about this movie.
Uh, oh yeah, Tariq been talking about root work for the last couple of
Ooh.
years, and with the with the deodorant, which is bomb. I got to get some more, but it was root work in the movie. I caught it. I was like, y'all listening?
Why were they so mad
Yeah, they
about the?
listening.
Why are they mad about the movie? Why can't they just like go watch something else? Why are they
Go watch
looking at?
Friends.
Yeah, go watch a Fringe revival or a reboot. Stay out of it.
Yeah, go watch Seinfeld or something. But I'm gonna land there. And by the way, everybody, today was my birthday.
Happy birthday,
About
bro.
Happy birthday!
I got about an hour
Happy
left because
birthday
I'm
to
out.
you.
Thank you. I got about an hour left because I'm out here in
I got about an hour
California.
left.
Happy birthday, bro.
Appreciate it.
All right, we can go to
Happy birthday, Mark.
little brother.
Appreciate it, Sister Nikki, Sister Wani.
Go ahead, little brother.
Happy birthday to you, brother. Peace to the family, Wani, Nikki. I don't know,
Appreciate it.
Professor Al. I don't know who was talking about Chicago pizza, but we got the
Oh,
best.
Chicago pizza, but we got the best.
Do you guys have any that is not Big Back pizza though?
I mean, it'll be a little cheaper one. We can get you a
A
little
skinny
Caesar.
pizza?
We can get you a little a Domino's
A
pizza.
little a Domino's? Why would I go there to get that when I'm in the pizza capital?
Nah, I wouldn't let you do that. No, we got something here called Italian Fiesta. It's pretty
What
good.
about a slender deep dish?
What is it?
Slender deep dish.
A slender
There
deep
ain't
dish?
no such. Yeah.
I ain't never
I just
heard of
made
that.
that up.
I think that's a
But you,
contradiction, isn't it?
but Wani, I'm gonna say this. It's the name of the restaurant is called Giordano's. You don't have to get the deep dish. They got the flat one if you want. Pretty much how you want your pizza. If you vegan, you can get the vegan. If you want spinach, you want pineapples on it. They do it all. That's why I say the pizza's good. And then they also got it where um you could buy a frozen pizza and take it home with you and throw it in the oven. You could eat one there, and like you say, if you get on your flight or whatever, you could take it back with you.
Well, they serving everybody.
Yeah, all the babies. But that's it. I land there. I just wanted to say we got the best pizza.
You win.
And
I
and
don't hear any. I don't hear any
Yeah,
rebuttals.
you got some good pizza. I think New York is
Uh-oh.
different, but
Housing is about to go off.
and Mr.
all right.
Freedom, I'm following you now, brother. Cause you talking some shit I ain't never heard. So
Yeah,
I'm
he's got some deep shit.
yeah, buddy. I might have to put my thinking cap on, get my boots on, put my gun in my hand. Excuse my French.
Oh, you good, bro. We're gonna go to hell, what I say? MLG.
What I say? MLG. Good morning, family. I had I have not seen the movie yet either, but I had came across some interesting information online about these two restaurants, one in California, one in New York, that actually sell human flesh for members only.
Jeez.
Did not believe it until I looked online and brought up the restaurants, and they actually exist. And you have to be a member, and they literally sell human flesh.
You are
I
insane. Who added you?
I
Yes,
am.
Judah.
This is real.
Yes,
It
it
is
is.
real. And I could not believe it. It's one in California, one in New York. You must be a member. They tell you about how the flesh is cultivated, how it's donated, um, how exclusive the membership is, how you don't have to be worried about, I guess, like where the the flesh comes from. I could not believe it. When I saw that it was real, I contacted my mom. I was telling her we could not believe it. They were saying how they have a lot of high profile members, like in the like celebrities and high profile, members of the
You are a high
place, but you
profile
cannot.
liar.
What?
Somebody named
Who's
Estrella.
talking?
Somebody's talking.
Estrella,
Excuse
Estrella,
me?
can you be quiet for a moment?
Can you be quiet for a moment?
I
Don't
don't
pay her no
see the
No,
mind.
you can.
person.
She's an agent of
You can.
chaos. I'm about to
Anyone
drop
can
her.
Google it. She's an agent of chaos. I'm about to drop her.
Go ahead, continue.
And her echoing.
You there,
Okay.
MLG?
They do have that, so
Yeah,
unfortunately,
yeah,
they're calling
and
it
Estrella,
the
I'm not bringing you back up. I don't know why you're requesting, but Estrella was wrong, and she lost my respect because, according to MLG, y'all can look up an actor named Army Hammer. He played in that Harvard movie with Mark Zuckerberg, the whatever that movie was. And if you see his face, he's a white guy. He's real. His face, you're like, oh, him. Yeah, Army Hammer got in trouble a couple years ago because he was eating his girlfriend and stuff. He loved to eat people. I'll find something, put in Jumbotron right quick. But go ahead and continue your point, MLG. You
eating
are
his
not a
girl. Was
liar.
she dead? Was she dead when he was eating her?
He,
Like, what was
I'm
happening?
on. I'll look the article up. Go ahead and land your plane, MLG, and that'll be the last thing
Oh.
we do. Let me find it. MLG, come back up. Can you hear me, MLG? I think she got a little shy because that Estrella person just calling folk a liar
Right.
and stuff. Don't
But
be shy. Estrella's an agent of chaos.
it's not just one place either. It's multiple places, secret groups, and people
Are
talking
you
about
guys there?
adventurous eating.
Hello?
Yes.
I hear you. Yeah. Am I muted? No. Okay.
Hello? Hello? Are you guys
I
there?
hear you. I hear you. Can you not hear me? Wani, can you hear me?
I can. She can't hear you.
Okay.
Yeah, well, the space is about to end anyways. We're having some technical difficulties.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's
Okay, I
acting
guess I
weird.
lost
So.
you. Are you guys there?
My bad.
My bad.
Yeah, I hear you.
Yeah, I hear you. Oh, okay.
Can you.
Well, I brought that up in relation to the movie and
Did she drop, y'all?
My
Okay.
bad for that. There's beings that exist on the electromagnetic level, and they try to block this kind of information. It's a life
Yeah.
force that they exist on that level, and they try to interfere. So sorry about that.
No, it's okay. I'm looking for something to support her because she was telling the truth. I'm looking for something to show y'all. Yeah, he got in big trouble because he. Yeah, I'm here. It is. I'm about to stand by y'all. I'm putting in the jumbotron.
I
Um,
believed her when she said it. I was like, I'm not even surprised. It's disgusting. I'm like, no, thank you. But yeah, freaking gross. But I believed her.
yeah,
Nothing surprises me anymore.
yeah. This dude I'm about to put in was a real rising actor, very prominent with a promising career, like gonna be another like white leading man. And somehow it came out that he was maybe the girlfriend told on him or something, but he was eating people. He liked to eat people, and he was trying to eat one of his girlfriends, maybe trying to allegedly cutting her leg off or cutting something off.
What? Did you know they used to call Fiji the Cannibal Islands?
Yeah. Mr. Freedom is right.
Mhm.
They messing with the jumbotron.
And
Yeah.
that's why when that girl, they had some political issue, and the girl in Maori was doing some like chant and stuff, and they get all the white people were in the comments very upset because it must have struck some DNA level chord where they were scared of these. They're scared of these South Pacific Islanders. They will put your ass in a pot with onions and you will never be seen again. It happens all the time. Every time they go over there trying to do anthropology work, they, oh, well, let me study you. And the next thing you know, their head is on a mantle, their skull.
Wani, what
Yes.
do reptilians do on the beach? They come,
Eat people.
well, they come and they lay their eggs and they make mounds and they hide their eggs.
Oh, I thought you were talking about Komodo dragons.
No, what I'm saying is, just look at that Prometheus movie. It's more. The truth is stranger than fiction. Sometimes fiction is a reflection. I'm telling you, there's
I
something
agree.
underneath some of those mounds.
That woman was bucking her eyes and her tongue was out. She had on her face tattoo and she was like, I'm going to pull up all the primal cannibalism I can on you, colonist.
So, ladies and gentlemen, can y'all hear me?
Yep.
Uh-huh. Somebody, Freedom, you right. We pissed somebody off. It kicked me off the space.
My bad.
No, it wasn't you.
Wow.
But it's all good because we're victorious. If you look in the jumbotron, look there it is. So that agent of chaos that was calling our sister a liar, she was the liar. Keep that in mind in case y'all see Estrella. I say Estrella, Spanish is the two L's, but Estrella, whatever her name is. Just remember her because she was lying. Look at that. Army Hammer says he kind of likes he kind of like allegations of cannibalism. Yeah, he was eating. He was I don't know if he was like killing people. I don't, allegedly he was eating. Got in trouble for eating, trying to eat somebody. He liked to eat people.
Well, they have a whole, like I said earlier in the show, that they have entire websites dedicated to people saying they don't mind being cannibalized. They let the person kill them, they get cannibalized, the guy eats them, and then he gets in trouble. They find out about it and has to go to court. And the defense is the man is on a website saying he wants to be eaten and killed. So I just did it. It is consensual murder, but it's still against the law.
Yeah, it was a couple years ago. Was a guy I can't think of his name. It's not important, but he's a white guy. He was a comedian, up and running comedian that never made it. But he was talking about a party that he went to in Los Angeles, in Hollywood, where he signed, of course, what do you call it, NDA. And the dude was like, everybody was dressed up, in masks and stuff, and he said he saw two dudes in surgeon uniforms, like in scrubs and stuff, and they were surgeons, and he was like, why are they there? He thought it was just a costume, and he said it was a real like a real sexy lady out dancing, and everybody gathered around, and the lady got stripped down butt naked and got on a table in front of everybody in this party, and the two surgeons cut off her, surgically removed one of her butt cheeks. And the cook came out and cut it into little bitty morsels, and they threw it on a grill and served it at the party. Now, if that's not bad enough, the guy said that she then proceeded with a bloody, with a buttocks missing, spewing blood, had sex with somebody. So this is what these people are into. All right, ladies and gentlemen. Hopefully y'all heard me. Everything went quiet. Somebody's trying to
Yes, we
eliminate
were
this
shocked.
space.
We were just shocked.
Yeah, yeah.
I just saw where it said everybody got muted, so I don't know.
Yeah, it's this space. I got kicked off and was able to come back, and it didn't want me to put up that picture of Army Hammer. Like, so it got weird for a second, but a lot of information was revealed in this space.
Remember the
Uh,
movie The Menu? They went on an island and it was cooking the humans. All right, I'm done.
That's the one I was
Mm-hmm.
talking
Mm-hmm.
about.
Mm-hmm. All right,
Yeah,
y'all take
I didn't
care.
watch it,
Peace,
but I
everybody.
saw the thing. Bye.
Good night.
shit.
They always try to block the truth.
Well, all right, guys. We're gonna go ahead and end the space here. This was overwhelming. I learned a whole bunch.
Professor, I got a question. How did you get to the jumbotron?
It's kind of complicated. You gotta what do? You put the picture in a purple
Post
pill,
it in the chat.
Okay,
Hmm.
in the
and then you
purple
go to
pill?
that look. Yeah, and then you go to that little arrow that says it has a square and a up. You press that, and it sends it to the jumbotron. But it's not intuitive.
A square and a up. Where's
Yeah,
this?
it's in.
Is it in the corner? Is it up or down?
If you look at the picture at the bottom right corner, it's a little bitty square with an arrow pointing upwards. Touch
Oh,
that.
okay.
Yeah. Well, all right, ladies and gentlemen. Any last words, Wani?
Good night.
Nikki?
All right.
Good night.
Yeah, I don't know what to say. This has been kind of a lot of information. Mark Anthony, you had a comment.
No, I enjoyed the space as always. I always learn something from your spaces, so
Appreciate.
keep it up.
Oh yeah, appreciate you, ladies and gentlemen. Go to Wani in the jumbotron. You see Wani spots and Nikki the God's Cash App. Show them love. If you want a copy of my book, put $25 on the Cash App with your full address and zip, and I'll send your book out next week. All right, guys. See y'all next time. Peace out.